Peace was good.
What's good, homie?
Welcome back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Feel good to be back, man. Appreciate you guys holding this stuff down. You know what I
No
mean?
doubt. Back
Straight
like Jordan wearing the 4-5.
come back. Yeah, it's crazy because I turned 4-5 since then. You know what I mean? So I am coming back like Jordan wearing the 4-5. So yeah, not to play games with you.
No doubt, no doubt. Welcoming everybody to Hip Hop Talks. I'm your host, AG, here with the homie Shawn making his triumphant return.
Yes,
You know what
sir.
I'm saying? And Coop is not with us at the moment. You know, he might join in a little bit later. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Coop. So what's good, man? How you feeling?
Feeling good, man. Feeling good. It's blessing, man. It's blessing. Had a rough little patch. My father passed away. Had to deal with that for a couple of weeks, and it's still in the healing process. You know what I mean? But glad to be back, man. Glad to be able to talk to you guys about hip hop and checking in with the chat. Shout out to the chat. Shout out to the Discord. Shout out to everybody who was sending some love and prayers, man. I really, really appreciate that. That means a lot to be able to get those comments from people and just even getting some messages on the side from people saying, yo, praying for you, keeping you in the prayers. That means a lot, man. So I can't, thank you all from the bottom of my heart enough to say thank you for just the love and thank you for the blessings and also thank you for the prayers. It's still healing time, but yeah, my father was a good man, and I will continue to honor his legacy as much as I possibly can, man. So yeah, let's get into it before I, have to have a little.
Understood. Understood, man. So on the docket first, let's talk about our bar seminars that we chose for this week.
Yeah.
Would you like for me to go first?
Please.
Yeah, I thought it was appropriate, man. We'll get to this a little bit later. We've reached the 1 year anniversary, technically, of everything reaching its apex in the Kendrick and Drake battle. So I thought it would be appropriate to pick Nas's Star Wars, in particular, the second verse. He went crazy on that. You know what I'm saying? Throwing some more shots at Jay, Jehovah Witness, him and his co-defendants. I eat him like Lucky Charms with 2% low-fat milk, 5% pro-black built. You know, he was going off. Another reason why I picked that verse is because I'm a Star Wars nerd. I'm a Star Wars fan. I admit that. You know what I'm saying? And this past week it was May the 4th, so big day for a Star Wars fan. So I just thought it'd be appropriate to give some credence to that Nas song, Star Wars, where he talks about the atmosphere of rap when a lot of the people at the top are clashing and, for Star Wars itself. And people want to know where to find that. That's on, of course, on YouTube. And it was attached to the Illmatic 10th Anniversary Special Edition that came out in 2004. So that's where the song lives at on that album.
No doubt. Yo, that's a good pick, bro. I love that song. That was one of those ones that I'm glad he took those shots and he actually restated his claim during that time as well. I went with another big Queens. I went with Lloyd Banks. I wanted to lean heavy into the Lloyd Banks, like the early Lloyd Banks. I think this album he just released last week, dope album, very dope album. It really took it back to the essence of just a complete album from someone like Lloyd Banks, because one of the biggest knocks on him was his voice and being able to carry an entire album. And I'm glad that he was able to find the right aesthetic for that particular album that he dropped last week. And actually, I wanted to go with two of his. I actually want to double up on my bar seminar since I missed the last four. I wanted to go with the joint that he had with G Unit. And the crazy thing about that, AG, the reason why I wanted to go with those joints is because I feel like Lloyd Banks has always been a punchline king. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. One of the best.
So he's one of the best. He's one of the best. And even though this new album that he just released, he's not giving you all the punchlines.
Right.
He's actually giving you some well-written rhymes. He's giving you some real well-written verses, and he's not getting into that heavy punchline bag. But early Lloyd Banks was like really one of those ones. And he was actually, his trajectory was actually like superseding G Unit's trajectory at that time, because he was a pure lyricist out of the camp. And everybody was asking, like, was he the next one up? Because that 50 steamroll was so heavy that you had to kind of go back and think about, like, yo, is this guy the next one, out the canon? 50, a great songwriter, hooks, bars, everything. But Lloyd Banks brought the lyricism to G Unit back
He
in
was
that.
the spitter out of the crew.
He was a spitter. He was the pure spitter.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to focus on Bad News first verse because I thought that Bad News joint is just it's so Queens, so Queens. And I really wanted to focus on not that I'm sorry. The other one was with G Unit in the House, which is one of my favorite ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to lean into those two albums, those two songs, the two verses that he had. So Lloyd Banks was my bar seminar for this week.
That's what's up, man. If y'all haven't got a chance to check out that new Lloyd Banks album, AON 3, you know what I'm saying? Definitely check it out, man. It's a fire release. So keeping in the vein of new music, let's go to Benny the Butcher with his new release, Excelsior. And off the bat, I just want to give a shout out. Me and you are Marvel fans to the core, bro. Shout out to the late, great Stan Lee, you know what I'm saying, creator of Marvel, because that was his catchphrase. That was his tagline, Excelsior. So, that made me think about Stan. So that's what's up. Did you get a chance to listen to this project, Shawn?
I did, man. I did. And first of all, shout out to Benny. Benny gave us a shout out a couple months ago. Shout out to LT. Shout out to all those guys over there, BMF and all of that. They actually gave us a good plug in Arkansas at an Arkansas show. So shout out to those guys. I want to start off with love and appreciation for all of that. But here's what I would say. Benny signed to Def Jam, which is a major label, still in hip hop, regardless of how they're structured now, how music is being consumed. It is still a big boy label. And he's been dropping a lot of different Lucy's here and there, EPs here and there, since his major release. The major release that he said was going to be the best thing since DMX Wave, right? Since It's Dark and Hell Is Hot, if I'm not mistaken, right? So I really feel like, what is the direction for Benny moving forward? Like, what's next for Benny? Because was this a dope album? It was cool. It was cool. It's nothing for me to go crazy over. I'm not going to front. I'm not going to cake for it. I think it was one of those albums that I want to see more from Benny at this point. I want to see him like take that next step, that next leap. And I don't know what that next leap was going to be, because the album that his first release with Def Jam was supposed to be that one that takes him there. And that didn't really do what I think they really wanted it to do. So now he's just dropping things at this point. And he's still spitting. You can never deny the fact that Benny can spit. He bar you up all day long. But there's something missing. I can't put my finger on it. There's something missing. I don't know if it's the concept piece, because listening to Lloyd Banks' album, AON, I'm thinking like, that should have been something Benny should have pulled off with the Def Jam release, or maybe a follow-up to that first Def Jam release. But I think that he's trying to find out what his lane looks like at this point and how he's going to rebrand. And I think he's in the middle of rebranding, but doesn't know where to go with that rebrand. I could be wrong. I don't have no insight or anything going there at all. But what I'm saying is, he's rhyming just to be rhyming at this point.
Yeah. I mean, me and you are on the same wavelength, bro.
Yeah, and that's no disrespect to him at all. It's just that I feel like he's rhyming just to be rhyming at this point.
Yeah. Shout out to our Discord, man. Like, what I'm saying? One of the homies in our Discord, shout out to Trife, he posted something in there, and it's like, he could see what I was thinking. Like, if you got 30 or 40 projects, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even this not even hyperbole, right? When I say 40 projects, when you talk about Griselda, we got 30 or 40 projects and it's like no separation, you know what I'm saying, between those. Like you said, rhyming to be rhyming, or another project and it's cool. Like if they a bunch of 3.5s or whatever, then you got to ask yourself, like, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, I get it. Like when Griselda first came out, their mentality was flood the block. And that was cool. I respected it because nobody else was doing that at that time. But now, all these years later, you're like, okay, where's the growth? And I'm not talking about in his content or whatever. It's just like that approach has already been established. And I don't see where it's like moving the needle for them at this point in time. Like all these 7, 6, 7, 8 song projects. And this is not just Benny, it's just Griselda as a whole. I don't know if that format needs to continue, man. I really don't, because I would like to know, and hopefully you get a chance to ask him at some point, like, when you're making these songs, is there a theme, or is there like, some sort of concept at play, or you just like, well, I got 6 joints in the can, let me put something out. You see what I'm saying? It's like no central focus to it or whatever. You're not trying to make a great body of work. You know what I'm saying? Because if you got 6 joints and you just put out for the hell of it, versus if you make about, 4 or 5 more joints and tie it all in together, you might have a really dope album on your hands, And I've really been struggling that listening to the album. The album's cool. I really love the joint with Styles P, that song Toxic. That's my favorite joint. But the conclusion I came to, Shawn, was the mixtape era is dead, right?
Yes.
And Griselda is very much so mixtape style rappers. Like, if you transplanted them, if you took them out of this era and put them in the early 2000s, they would be the guys that was releasing mixtapes a few times a month. You know what I'm saying? The same way State Property was on that run, like, that sort of thing. And I think this is their earnest approach to that. Like, mixtapes are no longer, it's a thing of the past. So I think they're approaching the original music like the mixtape game used to be. Like, I'm going to keep flooding the block with material until we get to my quote unquote project, you know what I'm saying? My serious project. But when they're all released as original bodies of work, it all blurs and runs in together. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Now it's kind of getting a little bit tired, if I'm being honest. And I mean that respectfully, but that's how I look at it. You know what I'm saying? It's like the mixtape outlet isn't there, so this is what they're doing. It was dope the first few years, but now it's kind of like, you can't tell the like, oh, this is the big time Def Jam release versus the I'm just putting this out to keep my name out there.
Exactly. Because you don't see the difference. It's not marginalized anymore. Everything is starting to kind of run like this. And I said that last year about the Griselda movement, and I love Griselda. I want to see Griselda get the flowers that they deserve. We've been talking about trying to get Stove God, on the show once everything kind of, levels out with him. You know what I mean? So we've been tapping into that camp, on the side. So this is not no malice on what we're saying. It's just about, like, right now, what's the next step? Like, what's the next, step off, if you will, into whatever they want to do. Because to your point, everything is starting to sound like this.
Right.
And, there's no like, okay, we're starting to see like an extension, or we're starting to see another chamber open up. And again, if you're great at doing something, you got to stay there. You got to stay there. But at some point, because of the way music is consumed today, music is so different today. We always talk about on the sidelines about how music used to, transfer into the following year, and 2 years and 3 years. Now music, we can't tell you 5 records last year or 5 albums last year that we're listening to repeatedly this year, because the carryover is no longer there. And because everything pretty much sounds kind of the same, like it's in a microwave at this point. It's not being baked really well where it can, stand the test of time, or even stand the test year over year. I ain't gonna say that, but yeah, shout out to Benny. I hope he can I hope he put together a good project at the end of this year, for Def Jam. I hope he can put it together and really put a cohesive album together and show that range that we know he have. It's there. It's just about orchestrating it. And maybe he need Westside and some others to come in and help point him in the right direction when it comes to that.
Westside is a great curator, so maybe that's needed.
Phenomenal curator. Yes, sir. So speaking of curation, man, Met Gala. Did you get a chance to tap into the Met Gala, or do you even watch stuff like that?
I don't watch stuff like that. The only thing I seen from the Met Gala was stuff on Twitter. The Rihanna was the headline because people suspecting that she's pregnant again, and people clowning the outfits. You know what I'm saying? So like, let me ask you this: if you was invited to the Met Gala, what would your outfit be?
Man, polo hoodie. I mean, I'm not dressing like a fool.
I mean, you can't go at the Met Gala basic.
Yeah. Why can't I? You know what I mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
I mean, you see what they do. You see Pusha T. Pusha T had the whole, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
remember, for those of you who watched the last episode, Pusha T was my number one draft pick to take with the Gorilla because he had all the, like, you know what I'm saying, pixie dust to hype everybody else
Chill
up,
out.
blow it in their face. My man, he had the shoulder pads. You see that?
He did. He
Yeah,
did.
he had the blow on the shoulder pads. That shit was crazy. I was like, man, Pusha T different, man.
Yo, he had like the snowflake joints on there.
Nigga looked like he had crazy dandruff going on, bro.
Yo, it's crazy, man. Push be taking this whole thing too far sometimes, man. Give us
Yeah.
the album, Push. Speaking of which, they had like a little snippet. Yeah.
Yeah, it leaked online, man, but the snippet I wasn't really feeling, to be honest. It was mostly Pharrell hook, and the beat was okay, but at this point, like, where's the album? And then every time some sort of like Louis Vuitton fashion show or a Met Gala come around, and then they premiere a snippet of music, just drop the album already, man. Y'all said it was pretty much done outside of a feature. Then it got to be a fashion show for us to hear any of the music. I'm not understanding the marketing plan for this one. And if I'm being real, everything we've heard, like snippet wise, has just been Pusha. We haven't even really heard Malice's return like that.
Maybe that's by design. Because look, man, No Malice on Pusha's last album probably had the best verse on the album.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
you're right.
Maybe Malice is in the cut, until they're ready to like really, really go full throttle with the promotion and the rollout. Because right now it's not a rollout right now at this point. It's just snippets here and there, fashion show stuff here and there. They're connecting the dots with the fashion, and Pharrell is doing his thing. I don't think the focus right now is on the rollout. I really don't. I think once the rollout begins, it'll be full throttle because they haven't really talked about it, about the album itself. They kind of gave some tidbits here and there, some loosies here and there, but they haven't really talked about the curation of the album. So I think once we start seeing a full throttle rollout, whatever that may look like and whatever that may be, once we get the release date in hand, I think that's when you'll start seeing more from Malice.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see how, much they stay connected to the streets. I mean, the content is going to be there, but like I said, it's not full rollout mode, but it's just interesting that like we're going to circulate everything around these major fashion shows. I just find that,
I mean, that's the Pharrell thing, and Pusha was in the fashion thing for quite some time now. And you forgot, I mean, he's making money, crazy money off of fashion. So
fair enough.
That stuff is a tie-in. Again, as fans,
well, you do got to tap into a different demo if you really want to like move units. So
you have to. You think about it. That audience is a Louis Vuitton audience, right? You got money in that room, and you're dropping music. You probably want them to consume that music. As fans, we want them to cater to us directly. We want it to be exclusive. But as artists, they got to put themselves in the position to be able to like, we need to push out a little bit more. We got to get away from this dynamic. We got to open the doors for more. So I get it. I still want the album. You know what I mean? Like let's stop playing games and let's put the album out there. But I get it. Truly get it. So speaking of playing games, yo, this why Coop, man. Yo, shout out to Coop. Yo, what do you think about this, man? He dropped the album. He showed up with a piano in his back. Like, what's the deal, man? Like, what's going on, man? Like, real talk, what's really going on? We talk about Push. What's going on, man?
Yeah, shout out to Coop. We wish he was here to cover his Atlanta brethren. But have you ever carried a piano on your back?
No, man.
So you ain't never helped nobody move in that owned the piano?
Nah, they got
pianos is heavy as hell, bro. Like, just real talk.
Yo, they got the moving people for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Word. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not doing it. I mean, like, yo, and he got the piano on his back, and he's looking. Yo,
I'm here for the jokes. So I'm gonna get real serious in a second and talk about Andre. But yo, somebody on Twitter, and please pardon me. I don't remember whose name it was, but I was at work looking goofy, probably laughing for about 20 minutes straight. Somebody tweeted that yo, if you push homie down the stairs, it would sound like the perfect Griselda beat.
Yo, man, that is crazy. Yo, that
And
is
I was at work
that is
playing that on loop in my brain, visualizing Andre like falling down the stairs with his Jordan 3s on and the piano and overalls and what that would sound like in my head, man. That took me out. But
that is crazy. That is crazy. And it's
insane.
nasty. And it's now it's nasty. It's nasty.
But Andre, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know me, Shawn, we gotten, you know what I'm saying, real tight over the last couple of years. So you know I'm always here for a good troll. That's just who I am. And I just
Yeah.
and I just gotta accept that Andre's trolling at this point. Like,
I don't think he's trolling.
I think he's trolling, bro. I think he's trolling.
We've seen this. We've seen traces of this. We've seen the breadcrumbs. Yeah, I'm sorry y'all hearing like airplanes. I'm like, can you hear the airplane?
No, I didn't hear that.
Okay, like I'm close to the airport. He's not trolling, bro. Stack's been doing this for years. And we accepted it for years. Okay, so when he came out there, remember this song Prototype, and he was like doing this right here and like walking with the blonde hair, and he was like, we didn't say a word. We didn't bat.
Nah, a lot of people did, bro. A lot of people did.
AG, I remember looking at it like, yo, what is he doing? Why is he walking like that? And with the blonde hair and bugging out. Everybody was like, yo, he's creative. Y'all created this. You all created this. The same way y'all created Ye, y'all created 3 Stacks. Y'all told him he was very creative. He went and did a flute. Now he's doing the piano joint because y'all said he was creative and he's a mastermind. He's a genius.
I think he's trying to reenact the Hey Ya video. Remember in the Hey Ya video, he was like 5 different niggas. He was like on the drums, the guitar. Like he's just like, yo, I'm gonna just be the whole band. I'm gonna do the flute.
You might be on to something because we may get a drum album next.
He might.
He's a genius because y'all said that he was a genius. And Atlanta, I hold y'all accountable for this.
Listen, man, I think it's some sort of like I think it's a little bit of a troll and some clout chasing to it because you don't drop an album the day of the Met Gala and the cover is you with the piano on your back and show up at the Met Gala with a piano strapped to your back.
Because he's creative. You hate him right now. That's creative. Look at the pants.
Well,
what are you talking about? That's creative.
Listen, he knows what us fans want from him, right? And he even released a full disclaimer with this album. If you pull it up on Spotify, like that's the streaming service I have, it says, when you pull up the album, it says, warning, no bars.
No bars.
And he released a full disclaimer talking about like, it's it's just a rough cut, like a demo. He recorded most of these in his house on his iPhone, just playing. They're real personal. They're not meant to sound finished. He sent a lot of these to his family and friends, just kind of playing around on the keys. It's just like really a novice doing that, and he probably should have kept it there, sending it to his family and friends. Exactly. But excuse me, but I digress. But like, here's the thing, right? Somebody, it's a DJ out there creative enough to put those piano loops over, some drums, and then take some Andre 3000 vocals and like put them over that. So I challenge any of you DJs or whatever or producers to do that because that I'll listen to and it'll be fire. But
so, I'm gonna let the cat out the bag. I recorded 3 songs off of 3 of those tracks.
Like you got vocals on them.
I got vocals on them.
We let you miss too many weeks. You had too much time on your hands, bro.
I'm dissing a lot of people. I'm dissing the entire Discord. I'm dissing you. I'm dissing Cool. I'm just letting y'all know.
I expect you to diss me.
Yeah. If you don't respond, it's okay. I wouldn't expect for you to respond. If you don't respond, nobody would know I'm talking about you. That's all I'm saying. So be prepared. The whole Discord, I'm dissing all of y'all on this 103,000 piano.
over the piano loop is crazy.
Piano loop. So
but it's like, listen, my thing with this is what's the end game? What's it lead to? Like who you said it before the show, like who are we to talk about his artistic expression? If that's what he wants to do, fine, he has the liberty to do that. But you know what's next? Once he gets this out of his system, he's still not going to double back and say like, okay, y'all allowed me to express myself artistically. I'm gonna give y'all what y'all want at this point. That's never going to happen.
We can't look, man. I'm okay. I'm all about artists expressing themselves. That's what hip hop, that's what music is about. It's about expression, right? So who am I as a fan or a bystander to say you can't express yourself through song, through a piano? Like, who am I to tell you that?
Right.
I feel like he's earned his right to do whatever he want to do. However, as a fan base, we also have that right to either share our displeasure on that or to say, look, we're going to take you down a little bit of notches because you're not top 10 anymore. Because we put him in the top 5, in a top 10, when he never had a stronger catalog to represent that, if you will, like
right.
a solo catalog or individual catalog. Because
Right.
we based him off trajectory. We based him off the fact that he is one of the dopest ever done it, regardless.
Right.
In an era where the South didn't have a lot of him, if that makes sense, right? So again, I put this back on Atlanta because they're not loud enough. You know what I mean? We got a couple of super chats. And speaking of Atlanta, hold on. Let me get these super chats real quick.
What up? What up?
What up, Coop?
What up?
CJ the Kid.
CJ the Kid.
Yep.
CJ the Kid, appreciate you with the $5 super chat. Said, just got here. Bless you guys. Welcome back, Shawn. Prayers and blessings to you for real. Where's Coop? Right here, CJ. At work or with the mayor?
Wow.
CJ is wild, man.
No, CJ, I just had some technical difficulties.
Yo, CJ again with another $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Shawn. Please call me. You spared me on those tracks. You didn't throw darts at me, did you?
You know,
he said he's coming to everybody in the Discord.
I freestyled on for CJ one time before. Yeah, I get CJ.
Don't freestyle a style for free.
I get my 3 bars. Yeah.
You need some beats. Yeah. You need some beats.
I'm using the Andre 3000 piano beats.
Coop, I'm glad you pulled up at the right time. But before we let Coop have the floor,
no, I didn't. No, actually, when I was taking care of the stuff that I was taking care of, I was hoping that by the time I actually did pull up,
you and Shawn both have done this shit at different times. Like Shawn tried to avoid the Ghostface album. You're trying to avoid the Andre 3000 album. Y'all gonna quit trying to play me every time y'all's favorites, you know what I'm saying, drop the ball. But anyway, before I pass the rock to Coop, you know what I'm saying, I just want to say this on a serious note.
You're supposed to be talking about Kendrick and SZA right now. That's what's supposed to be my
we'll get there. We'll get there. Speaking of Kendrick,
wow.
No, Kendrick has taken Andre's spot in my top 10 for reasons like this. Right? And here's the thing.
Go ahead.
What upsets me the most about that is what Andre said in the interview when he released the Flute album. I'm not going to rap because what I'm going to talk about, a colonoscopy, is really not anything that anybody wants to hear at a 40-plus-year-old man, yada, yada, yada. Yes. But then he rationalizes us wanting to hear him tinker around with playing the piano with some novice recordings. So the thing that God blessed you with as a gift, now granted, I'm talking like an entitled fan, but let's just be honest. You're saying that I don't know what to rap about subject-wise and nobody wants to hear this, but then you playing around with something that you're just like picking up and you think that people want to hear that? I don't understand that logic. Cool. What do you got?
Not enough. I'll tell you what. So if we're going to have a serious conversation about it, I think and this did cross my mind today, AG, and I'm actually glad that you're kind of forging it. Maybe it is good that I'm coming in at this time. I don't have a problem with the fact that he wants to do a flute album or a piano album. It's not inherently that. First of all, I find the fact that you're doing a flute album and a piano album on an artistic merit level to be very ambitious. You know, I do. And I respect the ambition in the mind of a created soul and an artist. But I was left with these things, and let's to the first part. Well, the first part is, well, I'd be more okay with you exploring these options if you had explored that solo rap career option first.
That would be fair.
I think part of the problem here is the fact that we don't feel like we've gotten enough out of him as a hip hop community in terms of his hip hop contributions as an artist, especially for somebody that resides in most people's top 10. Like, which is mostly off the Outkast work. Last Outkast album was 2000, guys.
So you're saying if he would have released a solo album first, you'd be totally okay with all this other stuff?
Yes, but here's also what would go on too is that if he would have released those solo albums, the notoriety of this would not be the same maybe. And it wouldn't be causing such a buzz and a spark. And that's my problem with the buzz and the spark that this causes. Is like, oh no, this was supposed to be for your solo rap albums. And if you had those solo rap albums, this would be more I say this respectfully, like when Queen Latifah did the Dana album and was singing. All of us liked that album, and none of us had a problem with her doing that album. Well, because quite frankly, she had rapped for about 15 to 20 years before that and released enough projects that we thought it was cool that she was venturing out and doing something different. This don't come off as cool. Am I wrong for feeling that way or seeing it from that perspective?
No, I rock with what you're saying, but I'm I'm seeing how much rope you're willing to give Andre. So let's say he don't did it before. Let's say if he on this flute album and the piano album, he did it a la Beloved Below, where you got the Life of Benjamin Andre at the end. What if he gave us just like one bonus track with him rapping at the end of both these albums? What would say you to that?
Okay, AG, I'm so glad that you're bringing it up because that brings the second part of what I'm about to say. I think the only other thing that would make me have less of a problem with this is the fact if there was some actual hip hop involved with the flute or the piano albums. Here's what I thought about. Andrew and I on Mirror Music, of course. Shout out to Andrew. Andrew was literally texting me like, hey, he's like, Steph pulled the hamstring. You're 30 minutes later, you awake. I was like, I'm awake.
You pulled a hammy too, huh?
Yeah, that's essentially what he's trying to say. Like, are you laid out somewhere? But no, we've discussed the KRS-One is on and Chuck D on an REM album in 1991. Claude Debussy's Art of Noise Part 2 has a verse from Rakim on it. There have been, Limp Bizkit with Method Man and Premier on All In Together. Like, we've done the outside, Walk This Way, for God's sake, Run DMC. Like, we've done the outside of hip hop mashup before. I would have really thought it'd be more cool and creative and inventive if you be the first person to maybe implement some hip hop into the, instrumentation side of it. Like, maybe it's not even a song or a vocal thing. Maybe it's like how about this? Like, maybe piano wise, and we'll talk about this because we have this to discuss. Maybe since you're doing a piano album, maybe at the end it would be really, really cool if it was like the symphony that you played or the bridge is over. You know what I'm saying? Like something rap oriented to keep the audience reminding them it's like, yeah, really a hip hop guy though. Like, there's no cool hip hop moments like that. And so it just feels like this notoriety is being spent on, something that artistically is inspiring, but in terms of its musical merit and execution is just, average at best. At best.
Yeah, I think that's the hard part about it. If you guys would agree, like that's the shield of it all because it's his artistic expression. You know what I'm saying? Because we can be disgruntled all we want to, but then if we're entitled as fans, he can always put up the shield and like, well, you're not just letting me express myself artistically. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of a weird dichotomy that we're dealing with or whatever. But, as a fan of his God-given gift, that he's the greatest at, it's really disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, how about this? It's like, and Andrew be so disrespectful sometimes. Shawn, you're right. Andrew be disrespectful sometimes.
I told y'all.
Be very disrespectful. He was like, so he's
Why
like,
Andrew catching strays for no reason?
So he was like, he's like, so is it wrong that that this, piano album's better than this flute album? And I'm like, Andrew, that's not saying much. That's not saying anything.
Yeah, Andrew did a review on Mirror Music. Y'all check that out. Go over to Mirror Music and check out his little short review of the piano album. But
yeah, piano album's better than the flute album.
It is. I give it credit. It's like picking the tallest midget. It's better.
What is it with you and midgets? Like, here you go again.
First of all, both of you.
I shouldn't have said that.
It's the tallest little person you.
Yeah, Shawn is wild. His first day back, he go get us canceled. Yo, and he continued with the weird titles on this one. What was the one like? You an ant and you wake up in a good mood, and then you got to take your son to school, and then your car battery's dead, and all. I'm like, nigga, what?
No, I felt that though. That one, it resonates with me.
All right, next topic.
So Shawn. See, I think what me and AG's problems is that instead of naming it that 26 word title, he could have just called it "Late as Fuck," nigga.
But
you on the pod.
That's not creative, cool. He's using
LAFN,
creativity.
LAFN. It'd be a hit. It'd be a banger on all the jazz instrumental charts right now. LAFN.
You got to be creative.
Let's move on to another disappointment for Coop's hometown.
Hold on, we got a quick super chat. Yo Magic. What up, Yo Magic?
I know Coop is about to call Andre's album of the year.
So disrespectful. I'm so disrespectful to all of us that love him. Yeah. Go ahead, AG. What were you saying?
I'm about to give you the ISO on this one, man. It's another Atlanta disappointment. CeeLo comes out and confirms that Goodie Mob is no more. They're completely finished. How do you feel about that?
Well, you see, I'm okay with this because they just had a, for the most part, 30-year career. And for the better part of that 30 years, they've actually operated in some sort of capacity as a unit. CeeLo has obviously always been the star of this group, and I think at times his stardom have been what's hurt this group, which usually what happens with stars. See a guy that just did a flute and piano album that gets put in the top 10 rappers of all time, while his other partner in crime has made about 6 solo rap albums since they last made an album together in 2000. But I digress to say that, this is a beautiful thing that they're actually doing it the right way. I think having a final album and a final tour and giving fans an opportunity to truly say goodbye and to truly say farewell and to actually give us one more project, which I find fascinating. Like this, like usually when a group says farewell, it's usually with a tour, not with a project. So I am interested to hear what the project is going to sound like. But, I salute them in their 30 years, and I respect the fact that, that they're going about, their separate ways amicably. So.
What you got, Shawn?
Man, first the Fat Boys break up, and every day I wake up.
Shawn loves JB.
Nah, man, don't do that. No, good run. Like Coop said, man, good run, man. You never want to see iconic groups break up, or even just kind of call it quits. You want to see them kind of go out the way they want to go out. And I think this is that. I think they're going out the way they want to go out. I felt like when Wu-Tang was kind of going through their thing, and I thought it was going to be the end, they ended up turning around and doing a whole tour and doing a concert, all of those great things. As a fan, I felt really good. With CeeLo saying this, and they're doing the final album, and they're doing the tour, I'm sure, Coop and, the other ATLians out there are ecstatic about that, just to see a good send-off. I just hope that the album can live up to that 30-year history, man. It don't have to be a classic, but it needs to be a great, closing the chapter of an iconic group. Where do you guys rank these guys? Where do you guys rank Goodie Mob as far as like groups of all time? Are they in your top 5? Are they in your top 10?
That's a good question, Shawn.
It is a good question, AJ. Go ahead, AJ.
Before I answer Shawn's question, I share your guys' same sentiments, but I wasn't really disappointed by this news because I'm a subscriber of you can't really be disappointed by something that you already know, right? So I've kind of felt that this has been over for a lot of years now, but they just haven't came out and said it publicly. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really majorly disappointed when I heard this news. But as far as where they rank all time, just off the top of my head, I wouldn't have them in my top 10, but just outside of the top 10 as far as groups. But they got classic material for sure. But, you know, the groups is another thing. We talked about the mixtape era being dead. Groups is another thing that's dead in hip hop. We probably will never see groups again because everybody is greedy and wants their own piece of the pie or whatever. The last group that made waves was also from Atlanta, and that was Migos. And, you know, that was a long time ago, actually. So,
very much
but for me personally, they're just outside of my top 10. They wouldn't crack my top 10 off the top of the head, especially if we're counting duos as groups.
That's fair.
Right. I was about to say it depends on if we're having that producer DJ combination included. If the producer DJ combination is included, it's actually going to be maybe hard pressed for them to make the top 20. If we're being objectively honest. Because so if you include the duo and the rapper producer / DJ combo like the Gang Stars, Eric B and Rakim's, Cool G Rap, DJ Polos, Pete Rock, CL Smooth, you start including those artists, those groups, then they would fall closer to 20. But I am with AG with just overall. I would probably put them somewhere between 10, 15. I know this is going to seem like an awkward comparison, but to me, in a lot of ways, they're like Bone career-wise. Is that
I see it. That's a good comparison, I think, Coop.
Okay. Well, I mean, then you're probably going to know where I'm going with this. Bone's first couple projects. Oh, as far as like original hip-hop in a distinctive style and sound and the music being enjoyable, it's about as good as it would get, but it really didn't hold up much longer after that. Like after Creeping on a Come Up in East 1999, it's like the Art of War is cool, but it's like everything after that was kind of just cool. And it's kind of the same thing with Goodie. It's like, if we're being objective, it's like, well, Soul Food is, to me, in my opinion, one of the 5 best rap albums that ever come out of the South, and still standing as a borderline classic. But musically speaking, everything after that has not been to that level or to that strength. And there are a lot of groups walking around with 2 great albums, quite frankly. And then it comes down to, well, what is the impact and the importance of those 2 albums? And so you look at somebody like a Bone, who believe on, you know, those first 2 albums sold like 4 million and then 5 million and then 4 million copies of a single that was remixed off the second album. You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, it'd be hard to put them ahead of Bone, especially when East 1999 and Soul Food come out the same year are incomparable albums. And so if I'm being objective, it'd be hard to put them like Pat. They probably fall, for me personally, I would probably have them in the top 10 because of Soul Food, but objectively, I couldn't see putting them higher than 12 or 13, honestly.
You know, Coop, I appreciate that from you, like being objective, because, you know, you being ATLing yourself, that's hard to be able to say, okay, I'm from here, and this is a group that's synonymous with where I'm from.
Yeah, see, okay, so here's what I'm saying when I mean, like, personally. It's like, oh, no, personally, I love Goodie Mob more than EPMD. That is definitely a product of where I'm from, though. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Right. And so objectively, I can't put Goodie Mob ahead of EPMD, though. You feel what I'm saying? Even though I love Soul Food more than I love all of EPMD's stuff, and EPMD is barely making my top 10. So it's like, how does Goodie make my 10? You know what I'm saying? I definitely can't put them. Look, just as far as Southern rap artists, it's like, well, I can't put them ahead of 3-6, 8 Ball and MJG, UGK, right. Outkast. So it becomes a conversation with them and the Ghetto Boys about if they're even a top 5 Southern group.
Exactly. Because I think because they're associated with Cass, it gives them that extra boost.
They
Yes.
get the boost, getting a little boost. I mean, so that was the thing, is like, for me, they're the fifth or sixth best Southern group. It's that, do you prefer Ghetto Boys or Soul Food? And that's what I'm saying. If I'm putting them ahead of Ghetto Boys, it's because Soul Food's better than anything Ghetto Boys make, because sometimes Ghetto Boys gets that Scarface boost.
Right.
You know, and so that's really the conversation. And so when you're talking top 5 or 10 groups, I think the conversation should maybe be more, are they a top 5 Southern rap group all time, and where does that put them in the all-time hip-hop space?
I have them fourth Southern. The only ones I have above them are Outkast, Ghetto Boys, and UGK. I have them over 8 Ball and MJG.
See, I can't do that. 8 Ball, because
yeah,
I can't do that. 8 Ball and MJG have made too much. Like, they've made too many dope albums for me to do that. Although I can understand why, and I feel the same way about 3-6. It's like, yeah, even if Soul Food is better than whatever their best project is, those guys have so many projects that are great. In my opinion,
consistency is there. That consistency.
What about Hot Boys? Where you got them?
I see the Hot Boys would fall further back to me because I think how about this? The Hot Boys' best album would be the lowest of all these groups. Like, his in Coming Out Hard is better.
It was trash. I ain't gonna lie.
That's the Shawn I know. That right there. That's the Shawn I know.
Yeah.
Shout out to New Orleans, but good.
No, good to have you back, sir. Good to have you back.
She was trash.
So moving on, man.
We got super chats.
CJ, appreciate you. Another $5 super chat. He said, Coop, can you educate me and tell me 5 best rap albums from the South, or top 10 if you can?
I mean, just briefly off the top of my head, I mean, Outkast's first 3 albums. So Southern Playalistic, AT Aliens, Aquemini, The Diary by Scarface, Soul Food by Goodie Mob, Coming Out Hard by 8 Ball and MJG, Riding Dirty by UGK. I mean, depending on what you're calling like Southern rap, depending on like how you want to classify it, I tell you, Clipse is Hell Hath No Fury because they're from Virginia. So I would say Hell Hath No Fury would be up there. Daytona would be up there. Rick Ross's God Forgives and I Don't would be up there. Young Jeezy's TM 101 would be up there. T.I.'s Trap Music and King would be up there. Like, there's probably about 20 albums that I could go through that we would have to talk about. The albums that are definitely making it are The Diary by Scarface, Outkast's first 3 albums, and Goodie Mob's Soul Food. We can argue about what the next 5 would be. Those albums would make it for sure.
Good question, CJ.
No.
All right. So it looks like we're at the point of the show where I get to talk about the Kendrick Lamar concert in Coop's other hometown, because he's Atlanta by way of Charlotte. So if you saw the short that I posted up, you know, I was looking for Coop in Charlotte, man. I couldn't find him. He didn't pull up for the concert. I was a little bit disappointed, but nah, real talk, like the show, it was a super dope experience for me because it was a present to my daughter who turned 14, and she was so excited to go. She is a big time SZA fan, and she's a Kendrick fan too, but she really wanted to go see SZA. And, you know, my daughter's real quiet. She's real reserved and stuff like that. And just to be next to her all night, like vibing, you know what I'm saying? Just like really, you know what I'm saying? Just enjoying. I'm seeing her having like one of the best times of her life. That was like a super dope experience for me, man. So like off top, you know, that's, and ironically enough, my son's first concert was during the Mr. Morale tour. He went to see Mr. Morale. So yeah, Kendrick's first concerts for both my kids.
So you have been sponsoring this behavior and indoctrinating your children with this nefarious
indoctrinating is wild.
And behavior.
Indoctrinating is wild.
No, sir. No, Dr. Green. You were wild.
But you want to know what's funny? Speaking of my son, like, you know, we'll get to the Kendrick and Drake thing in a minute. So we're in the stadium, right? And we're at our seats. And it was a guy walking in. So my son's top 2 rappers before the battle was Kendrick 1, Drake too. But he's very much like you, Coop. He got so annoyed with the Kendrick fans, he switched. You know, he was a turncoat and was rooting for Drake in the battle, and he's died on that hill ever since. Like, I'm staying over here with the light skin, you know what I'm saying, with Drake. And so we're sitting there in the stadium at our seats, and then a guy's walking up to his seat and got an OVO hoodie. And my son like looked at him and saluted. straight saluted the guy. I said, "What is you doing?" He was like, he said, "I'm gonna salute that man because he's brave enough to do what I wouldn't."
Wow.
That's crazy.
So yeah, he's a wild kid. But anyway, couple things about the show. Number one, you know, packed house. I looked it up. It was 54,828 ticket sales, right? Out of a possible seating of 75,037. So that's 98% capacity. You know, because behind the stage, they didn't have those seats available. But just in general, what I want to say about that number is that many people hits different if you've ever been to a stadium concert, because most arenas is about like 17K or something like that. So that many people saying a lyric or, you know, a hook or whatever in unison hits different, because it's like, you know, it's insane. It's a major amount of people. And I think it improved, for me, the sound quality. The sound quality was like, because it's nothing, that was an open, you know, you've been to Panther Stadium, I'm sure, Coop. It's an open stadium. There's nothing for the sound to bounce off of. So what do you get? Everything you're getting is like, exactly. So everything with the sound quality was 10 times better than in an arena. And that lent to, you know, some of the performances. What I'll say about Kendrick, his breath control is amazing. You know what I'm saying? He says he runs 6 miles a day. I believe it, because his rapid fire ability to flow and, you know, not lose the breath control, it's really amazing. SZA, this is one thing I really respect about singers. She's a rock star. I didn't have any idea until I seen her perform live, the level of performance that she puts on, and to be able to sing without the backing track. You know what I mean? She was being harnessed up in the air, like dancing around the stage and then singing and still hitting certain notes. I mean, she ain't no Whitney Houston or nothing, but the way she performed and, you know, was able to keep those notes, I was really impressed by that. So I got a whole new respect for her. Only thing that threw me off, she performed Rich Baby Daddy. So it was kind of weird, her saying "Shake That Ass" for Drake, and then a few songs later here, "Not Like Us." That was kind of weird vibe. But anyway, it rained a little bit, you know what I'm saying, during the show. Afterwards, it was crazy. But during the show, it rained a little bit. They kept rocking, and it was crazy to hear. That was their 5th stop. But the 4 previous stops before that, SZA said that this was their first open stadium that they had been to. So they kept going through the rain. So they hadn't been exposed to the elements like that, right? So,
well, you know, hoteps don't like the rain, AG. Hoteps not like the rain.
Right. But that was something to note. I know, no comment. But this is one thing I'll say, and then people in the chat might say I'm glazing Nas and Wu-Tang because, you know, that's my GOAT MC and then my GOAT group. But my biggest takeaway from the show that was dope was something that I hadn't seen done until Nas and Wu-Tang did it when I went on their New York State of Mind tour. And what I mean by that, when you have co-headliners merging their sets and acts to blend it perfectly, whereas like, you know, with Nas and Wu-Tang, Nas come out, then they use I-4 and I-4 transition, then Wu and Ray and Ghost come out. Wu-Tang do a set, and then Nas come back out for Verbal Intercourse, and then Nas do a set, and then vice versa. They keep going back and forth as co-headliners. I never seen that really utilized that way before, right? And Kendrick and SZA pretty much did that exact same format. They both did about 3 sets each, you know, of certain songs, and they blended each transition with, you know, the tracks that they had together. So that was super flawless the way they did that. It was a great show visual wise. And before get done in closing, this is what I want to lay out for y'all. You know what I'm saying? I want to talk a little bit about Kendrick's set list, if y'all don't mind. Just take a minute. Y'all good with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yo, cool. Okay. So what I want to lay out is Kendrick talk, everybody who's been in the game for a long time talks about their day one fans versus, new fans. And in this battle, Kendrick gained a lot of new fans, right? And so it's a lot of people that might not be as familiar with his catalog early on. And you could tell that, right? Because everything post Damn, you know what I'm saying, got the biggest ovations, crowd participation, and so on and so forth. Everything pre-Damn, not so much, even though, Good Kid, Mad City is his best work, right? So I just found that interesting, and he was pointing out his old fans versus his day ones versus his new fans. But quick rundown, Good Kid, Mad City, he performed 6 joints off of. He did Backseat Freestyle, Swimming Pools, Mad City, which was a dope blend over Anita Baker's Sweet Love. You know what I'm saying? So that was a fire blend. He did Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, Money Trees, and Poetic Justice. So 6 joints off Good Kid. Then To Pimp a Butterfly, he did King Kunta and All Right. Only 2 joints, which makes sense because that's not, even though it's considered a classic, a lot of them ain't stadium flow, as Cooper say. You know what I mean? I left out Section 80. He didn't do anything off Section 80. All right. So Damn, which is commercially most successful album, he did 4 joints. He did Element, Humble, Love, and DNA. All bangers. Right. We get to Mr. Morale, Coop's favorite album, and he only did 2 joints off Mr. Morale. He did Count Me Out and N95. So short and sweet with the Mr. Morale songs. GNX, this is the Grand National Tour. So I would expect to see the most songs coming off of GNX. So it's 10 or 12, depending on how you cut it, because I got an asterisk by two of these songs. But Whacked Out Mural was his leadoff song, which is a dope joint to come out to. He did Squabble Up, of course. He did TV Off. He broke TV off into 2 parts. He did the first verse in one part of the show early. He did the second verse where he's yelling mustard and 50-some thousand people yelling mustard towards the back end of the show. He did Hey Now. He did Reincarnated. He did Man at the Garden. He did Dodger Blue. He did Peekaboo. He did Luther and Gloria. Those 2 songs were the closers, Luther and Gloria. And he did the 2 that I got an asterisk beside. He did the Heart Part 6, which was played. He didn't perform it, but it was played during one of the interlude segments. And then he did Bodies, he did that at the Super Bowl. That's a skit that a snippet of a song that was used during early promos, so it might come out on a deluxe version, but it hasn't been released officially yet. But he did it at Super Bowl. As far as features, he did 30 for 30 with SZA. He did Doves in the Wind with SZA. He did All of the Stars with SZA. He did Family Ties with Baby Keem, which arguably rang off the most that night. Like, the crowd went crazy over this joint. He did Like That with Future, Future and Metro wasn't there, but he did his Like That verse. And he did Good Credit recently, his feature on Playboy Cardi. And the diss songs that he performed, of course, Not Like Us was going to get played. Everybody went crazy to that. And he did Euphoria. So 2 diss songs. So in that rundown, that's a dope, and I want to get y'all's thoughts on this, but the conclusion I came to, if I'm being honest and objective, on the good side of things, that's a pretty dope set list. Really dope. You know what I'm saying? Especially with a co-headliner like SZA. SZA came with the heat as well. But what I will say is it really made me take a step back and look at his discography and say, although all these are great songs to perform like for a stadium tour, but if I had any critique or, objective critique, the lion's share of this set list, probably 90%, is coming from 3 albums. You got 6 joints off Good Kid, 12 off of GNX, and then 4 off Damn. 3 albums. So although his discography is great, it's just not that extensive. For somebody who's been in the game for 16 years now, it's great, but it's in a small dosage, because I've seen Nas probably about, I think, 4 times in concert. I've seen Jay twice in concert. And to see the way they effortlessly weave in and out of tracks from 15 to 20 albums worth of material is something that needs to be studied. You know what I'm saying? So although this track list is great, it's still limited in you know what I'm saying, the breadth of it, if that makes sense. But overall, dope show. I'll give it, you know what I'm saying, one of the better shows that I've been to as far as rating, you know what I'm saying, and the stadium aspect of it all. I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. And the biggest, it's special to me because it was the first concert shared that moment with my daughter. So I'd like to get y'all's thoughts hearing about the concert experience.
You can go. I don't have any. I mean, it's what expected. It's what's expected from it.
Yeah.
So, obviously wasn't at the concert in Charlotte, and actually would have preferred to go to the concert in Charlotte than in Atlanta, because I do think that as far as that stadium flow sound, I actually think it's better in Charlotte than in Atlanta because of how the stadium is structured that you spoke to. First of all, as far as the 2 songs on Mr. Morale, I'm sorry that you had to suffer through that. If I was there,
I like those 2 songs. I ain't complaining about that.
Hug you and your daughter and tell you that everything's gonna be okay and that you're gonna survive. You're a survivor of that album, and as a survivor, it's okay for you to be traumatized and to need some time to heal from that terrible, terrible, terrible album. But in all seriousness, what you're really finding out from his catalog by what you said, AG, because we have to be realistic. The only reason it's 12 GNX records and all these disc records because that's what's banging right now. 5 years from now, you can go ahead and cut that 12 tracks down to probably about 2 or 3, closer to I'd say more than Mr. Morale and To Pimp a Butterfly, but way less than Damn and Good Kid, Mad City in terms of what he actually has. The Mustard record, Not Like Us, and maybe Whacked Out Murals are probably what's going to hold up the best in terms of his stadium flow. But I think what the real problem is that, well, them songs that you name, and I'm not being funny when I say this, when you're talking about Nas and Jay and seamlessly going through stuff, it's like, no, let's not seamlessly go through stuff. Let's go to their best 2 or 3 projects. Oh no, they're about 6 or 7 heaters on all them. And that's what I be saying about him and about being mindful about comparing him to them. Like, we about to do some of this list. Do you know how, like, for what we're about to do at the end of the show, oh shoot, I could have just made a Nas and a J list of songs. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it would have been, that could have won.
Right.
So that's different. And so when people saying that he's operating on that level, it's like, well, I don't hear that in the records. And when you're ringing off the songs from the set list, I'm like, no, it's what I thought it was. Good Kid, Mad City is truly his greatest album. Damn is his stadium flow. To Pimp a Butterfly is his little Hotep masterpiece for all his little incense lighting, lock dipping ass. I don't know what the fuck. And Mr. Morale's just not that good. GNX and what's in tap dancing on Drake light skinned ass is what's in right now, you know. So, yeah. But I don't really see it like that. I see a great catalog, and I'm going to be honest with you. This catalog isn't aging as well as I thought that it was going to. Outside of Good Kid, Mad City, that's what I'm afraid of. When you ran off those records, I was like, nah, you can skip that. Nah, I'll give you that one. You can skip that. Give me that one. I'm okay. That's cool. When you told me Mad City over the Anita Baker shit, I was like, ooh, I would have loved to hear that. But nothing else excited me about what you said, AG. And I think that's the thing that was kind of alarming to me.
I think because a lot of his albums give us different looks. It's not lacking versatility, you know, that's for sure. Because he hasn't made the same album twice. And that's definitely a credit that I'll give to him. He hasn't done that. But you know, that was just an observation that I made or whatever. And I do, and you know, we're not just saying this for him because you brought up a very valid point. If you're touring an album that you just released, if you rock 10 joints off that album during your current, you know what I'm saying, concert run, fast forward some years down the road, you want to cut that in half at least. You know what I'm saying?
Like, how about this? Remember when Nas actually did like the Godson DVD? It's like, well, yes. Now the reality of the matter is that we'll get down. It made you look, and I can or probably, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
The ones that are gonna play now still, as opposed to at the time. Oh no, he did damn near half. He did like 2/3 of the album. It seemed like, you know.
And putting it in proper perspective, like I said, Kendrick's been in the game for 16 years, but where he's at out album wise now, just as far as quantity, is where Nas was at. If my math is right in my head, was where Nas was at in 2002 with Godson. And then we got what we got after that. You know what I'm saying?
So
More classic material to come.
So hold on, but listen to what you're saying. So you're saying what it's taking him to do in 16 years what Nas did in 8? Is that essentially what you're saying?
Yeah, because I mean, Godson is what Nas is 6, 7 albums in by that point.
And people are saying that I'm hating.
Right?
And people are saying that I'm hating.
That's the facts.
People saying that I'm hating. Listen to what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't use, I don't know. I guess
what Jay said. You've been in the 10, I've been in the 5.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But now we can move on. But overall, the show was dope.
Nigga, I can divide. That's one. Maybe let's say 2.
Jay nasty for that bar because he was cheating. He was counting Nas from Live at the Barbecue, but he was counting himself from Reasonable Doubt. That was a nasty twist.
No. Hyperbole is part of this rap game.
It is.
Yeah.
And we're about to get to, angles in a battle.
Right.
Yeah. Look, man, Kendrick, keep doing your thing. Keep selling out. If he continues to sell out these arenas, do it for hip hop. It opens the door for others to be able to come through and do the same.
He'll break records for sure.
Yeah.
Did y'all happen to tune in to the Maul and DJ Head debate on Roy and Maul's podcast? Did y'all happen to see that one?
I watched bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
I found it to be organized and respectable, and I really hate that out of hip hop debates. So
that's what I was gonna say. I liked.
I was like, man.
That's what I was gonna say. You just should have. That's what I was gonna say that I liked.
Really getting on my nerves that they kept on like getting along and shit. It's irritating the fuck out of me.
Oh.
So me personally, I found it to be disturbing and off-putting and irritating.
Coop is wild, man.
But apparently I'm a little different.
People can be civil, Coop. Like you can have civil hip hop debates.
God, it's just so, I don't know. I was just like, I truly was watching. I was like, is this where we're hard? I was like, we're having these like civil conversations and analytical breakdowns about the battle. It's like, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's healthy. I think that's,
man,
it's healthier to have that kind of conversation.
A little fuck your team is healthy too. You know, fuck your team.
Well, no. I'm glad you said that, Coop, because I like the format in that Rory and pardon me, I forgot her name, Damaris, took themselves out of it. They were the people asking the tough questions that we know Kendrick or Drake are never going to do an interview and answer, number one.
No, I did like that perspective of it. That you want to know it. That's awesome insight and perspective, and thank you for kind of like putting that out there.
Yeah,
you did do something
because they'll never do that and never do it. So number one, I like that. But number two, anybody who clicked on this interview knows that the two wasn't going to meet in the middle. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Maul was going to be like, you know what, you're right. And it's not like DJ Head was going to be like, know what, you're right. But the way they did it, it was respectable and stuff. And I know you wanted to see the BS Coop, but like to be on opposite sides of the spectrum and know that you're not going to agree and that you're just at an impasse, it was respectable. But the only thing that kept irritating me, but I understand it, is DJ Head was answering questions like a politician. Like,
very organized and diligent.
He's very media trained and savvy, and the way he answered the questions, I get it because he's connected to that camp. But I was like, come on, bro, just like give the real. But I do respect him giving out of everything, the best information he gave, that it was a phone conversation prior to the battle jumping off between Drake and Kendrick. And they agreed that certain lines wasn't going to be crossed. But those lines were crossed, and then it was fair game. It was game on after that. But it's interesting to know that conversation was had, and they thought they had an understanding for it to be a friendly fade.
Yeah, see, this is why I didn't get my OVO white leather. Okay, been out here handing out my white OVO leather to these other niggas.
You want a white leather. Rick Ross wants a white Bel Air bottle. Like, I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
Yo.
Okay.
Shawn, what do you got? What do you got, man? What you think about the
first of
interview?
all, somebody need to tell Rick Ross that white bottle of Bel Air sucks. I'm gonna do it before Shawn does. All right.
Thank you. You stole my thunder because I was going to go straight to that.
Sucks.
I was actually going to go straight to that. But I thought it was a good sparring match between DJ.
Bottles like my ex-wife. It's pretty, but that's about it.
Okay. Yo, we not doing that.
No, man. I think it was a good sparring match between the two. Again, I know we want to say this. We want to say let's move on from this Drake and Kendrick thing, but we still haven't moved on from Nas and Jay-Z. Straight up and down. Like, we still talk about it in some capacity, almost 20 years now, right?
That's fair.
Close to it.
We do.
This is their generation of that. So you're going to have think pieces. You're going to have a lot of debates. You're going to have a lot of articulation around who won and who didn't win and why they didn't win. We still argue that to this day, fellas. We were in our primes, in our in some of our impressionable years. This is 2001. We were 21, 20 when Jay and Nas were going at it. And think about how long we talked about it. Think about how much we talked about it. Look, when this stuff was happening, I'm sitting here looking at people like, yo, Queens get the money. You say something crazy, it's going to be a long day. You know what I mean? Because we're going to debate. We didn't have social media to go to debate. So
we had message boards, though.
We had message boards, but we also had the barbershops. We inside the barbershops arguing back and forth 3 or 4 hours in the barbershop talking about the battle.
Yeah.
Ooh, Shawn, you mind if I piggyback off something that you said? Because when you broke it down like that was a great breakdown analysis, by the way. I realized that part of what was missing from that conversation, and maybe it's not like the disrespectful nature and tone that I'm speaking to, it's the competitive fervor and the investment into the artist that I realized was lacking in the interview. I think that's a more articulate and less like debaucherous way of like putting it than I originally stated. It's like I was looking for what you were just talking about. And I realized that it used to be that way because we were more invested. And so that's why I didn't love this conversation. It was too clean and organized and diligent. It lacked some passion. It lacked some hip hop. It lacked some fuck your team. And I mean that like in a healthy, competitive way, because you're right, Shawn. Like that's what I mean. It is like, oh no, it was one of those things that, where you were from, the artist that you like is how some niggas categorize you. No, that nigga Coop like Tupac and Wu-Tang and Nas and Big. He don't listen to Like that was how niggas got acquainted with you. It was some of your musical taste, and so that was some of the investment. That was some of the argument. That was some of what made it so fun. That's part of what made it so street. And so am I happy that hip hop is to a level where these two gentlemen are accomplished enough at their craft, sit down and have a conversation and be a good conversation? Yeah, but did I feel like it was missing something? It's like, yeah, it's missing that shit that like really makes hip hop. And it's that angst. And whether it's for better or worse, I know somebody put in the chat, I thrive off the negativity. It's actually very much quite the opposite. It's turning the angst into something positive that hip hop is based off of, and we can never forget that. It's not just like strawberry fucking fields. It's like turning the angst into something positive. And so, but the angst does need to be prevalent in some sort of capacity. It's part of what makes hip hop different than the other genres is the competitive fervor and the angst to it.
Absolutely. In every cipher, you have to say, I'm the best. I'm better than you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Every rapper feels like they're the best rapper that ever lived. And if they don't feel that way, I don't fuck with you.
Exactly.
I agree with everything you're saying, Coop, but I think they personally set out to dispel any assumptions that people had, because DJ Head, he's coming there as the Kendrick representative, right? So he's already bought, if that makes sense. Maul, everybody's been calling him an OVOD rider like this whole time. But we've seen him living down that hill of Drake on his own platform, get, passionate, hype, yell, and all that stuff like that. So people probably were expecting him to do that here. I think they made a conscious effort to make it as civil as possible where they could like eloquently articulate themselves, get their points off, and then, say, all right, good debate or whatever. Neither person was going to change their perspective, but I think we were all kind of expecting it to go differently than how it did.
How about this? Like, I felt like, here's what I mean about organizing diligent. I was like, man, are these niggas like practicing to be Stephen A's running mate in 3 years or something? Like, what are they like? That's that.
I mean,
right.
That's how
I feel when I watched it. I feel like it was heavily pregame, if that makes sense.
That's what I'm saying. So it's like, so even some of your best rap songs have that moment where it's like, oh no, it goes wrong, and they freestyle it, and that's what makes it special. It's like the same. Think about how many guys. Some of our best moments are when it has literally nothing to do with the subject, and we end up somewhere, and we go back at the end of the show. You're like, man, when we went right here with it, that was ding, 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 bom, 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 bom.
Right.
It's organic. Right. It's organic. It's not scripted. It's not. We're not trying to play a character. We're not trying to amplify something that doesn't exist.
Like, how about this? Like, look at what happened tonight. I literally came in during Andre 3000's piano album. Like,
look at God.
Like, look for you. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm thinking, like, for you two, you're probably like, oh, this is great. You showed up right on time.
Oh, it was perfect time, and I love it.
Perfect time.
But that's
because you tried to avoid it.
Those are those organic moments that you can't recreate, though, that are so natural, and it's beautiful when those things happen that way, and it's missing that. That's part of what hip hop is, though. It's like, it's literally when somebody is rapping on a corner, and some fat kid is rapping on a corner in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and some dude up the block is like, I got somebody better than you. And they're like, no, you don't got nobody better than this fat kid. Absolutely. And then the kid comes up the block, and the fat kid demolishes them. And then he gets signed by some baby oil sliding ass.
Right. Because, no. And that's valid, because we weren't looking for a way to go viral back then. We didn't have nothing to go viral for. So our thoughts and our opinions, it was really how we felt. It was pure. It was pure. It wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna say this so I can get some clicks, or I'm gonna get some fans, or I'm gonna get some people wound up. What we felt is what we felt, because it was you had to feel that way. Because if you were talking to another hip hop head and you can't state your case, you're getting smoked. It's like it's in a cipher. It's no different than being in a cipher. You have to present the best logical explanation as to why you're defending the artist that you care about.
There you go.
Like, people know who you are. So it's one of those things, like, I'll never forget when Rakim dropped the 18th letter. Like, my boys Gary and Eric, who lived in the same neighborhood that I did, like on the west side, they was like, your boy dropped today. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, niggas around the neighborhood knew I was a Rakim fan. I put a lot of dudes in the neighborhood on Rakim. This is the west side of Charlotte. Niggas ain't just necessarily running around listening to Rakim. Like, people be knowing. And so, like, I was expecting, because like you said, well, everybody know who DJ Head is aligned with, and everybody know who Maul campaigned for. I was expecting to see a little bit more of that campaign. Yeah,
it was organized as such, but a civil one.
Well, they didn't really tell us or share anything that we didn't know outside of that phone call that you mentioned, though, AG. That was what I'm saying. It was like,
we heard about it before as well. We heard that in the very beginning.
But to confirm it, though.
Confirmation, right. The confirmation was nice, but it's also, too, it's like, what is that confirmation really doing for us? Saying that, like, think about this. It's like, well, people said that they were going to have a civil rap battle. It's like, well, how often does that shit really happen? Like, never.
Well, I agree with everything DJ had said, because if I tell you this is my line and you say this is your line, and if you're a habitual line stepper, and you know what I'm saying, if you at least have a toe over that line, which I'm sure it was like, don't bring the family or whatever in it, like he said, and he used the bar in push-ups, I'll be with some bodyguards like Whitney, you know what I'm saying? That bar is not crazy, like Maul was said, but just the mention of the name, like the Virginia Williams bar and Duppy, that's like maybe a toe over the line. That's like the Kevin Durant shot for Brooklyn when, you know what I'm saying, that he hit against the Bucks in the playoffs some years back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wasn't behind the line. You stepped over it just a little bit. You feel me? So it's like, then you don't have no choice but to take it there, because I've already warned you at that point.
Yeah,
we're gonna end up going into a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's keep it moving. You're right. That's a whole different. My wheel's spinning right now.
Yeah, I don't even want to touch it. The whole show about to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is need to be our bookend moment for this because we don't want to be the pod that like keep beating a dead horse. You know what I'm saying? With this, we try to present y'all with original content and stuff like that and come up with stuff. But this is an anniversary moment. It needs to be talked about. I know for every fan that wants to hear about it, it's another fan that's tired of hearing about it. So this is our Hip Hop Talks bookend moment to the Kendrick and Drake battle. But like Shawn said, it's inevitable that it's going to come back up in some sphere. But, just for right now, we just don't want to keep beating a dead horse. But, the anniversary of what I call the apex of the battle was 1 year ago on, sorry, we're not there yet. My fault. We'll get there in a minute. But before we get to the battle anniversary, Kendrick had released the Hard Part 5 3 years ago today. So the video and the song, which in my opinion, once it was placed on Mr. Morale, was the best song on Mr. Morale. And people were hyped that Kendrick was back at that point. What do you guys have to say about the Hard Part 5? And where does it rank for you in the Hard series as a whole?
I think the video and the concept was probably stronger than the actual song itself, in my opinion.
That's fair.
Because it's a polarizing. You got all of these characters that he's playing who are polarizing characters. OJ, Nips, all of these guys he was playing. I think Will Smith, all of those characters that he was playing to express himself in that. I think honestly, to be quite honest, I think just the rollout of that song itself as a single and just everything around it was really the bigger thing for that entire album, in my opinion. Dope song. I think I have it maybe number 5 maybe of the Hard series. But I think just because of when it came out and what it came out on, it makes it that much more bigger. That's my opinion.
Very much closer to Shawn's sentiments. The video is what made it. It did feel to me a little clout chasey with the whole Nip, OJ montage, AI generation distortion thing. I'm with Shawn. At best, it's third or fourth in the series. If this is the best song in your album sucks. I said that when they did this. I also said, yeah, no, don't apologize because I was right. Everybody was wrong because when this was happening in real time, everybody said that I was hating and that this album was great. And I was like, well, this album's so great. Why is he putting a Heart series on an album for the first time? And it's the best song on there, which is there's never even been a Heart series song that we've even wanted to be on a Kendrick album because the Kendrick albums have been so strong up to this point.
Right. Not until 5. Not until 5. And that was to boost. It was like all jokes aside, that was to boost the no pun intended, but that was to boost the morale of Mr. Morale. Putting that song on there because that song did get a lot of love. And I like that you brought up about the AI generated thing because if y'all remember in real time during the battle, when Drake released the Tailor Made, I didn't like that at all. I said that's going to ruffle too many feathers. I don't like the whole. I called Shawn right when I heard it, like, yo, this is not a good look. Creative, yes, but not a good look. But a lot of Drake fans were pointing at Kendrick like, well, he did the same thing, except for in video form, or whatever. So I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people pointed at that it was like, using AI to cloud chase in a different way. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but that was a talking point. As far as where it ranks in the Harp series for me, I would say probably third or fourth, maybe. But by far my favorite is the one on GNX, the Heart Part 6, just because it is quote unquote heartfelt, because him telling the story of TDE, how they came together and the disbandment of it, like with that concept, that's by far my favorite. I would probably rank it like maybe third down the line though, for the Heart Part 5.
Great. Make sure we have no super chat. All right, cool. All right. So 1 year later, fellas.
Yeah, that's what I was going to allude to earlier. So we at the bookend anniversary of this battle. So it's kind of like we putting a pin in it after this. But, the anniversary, the night of, I believe it was the May 4th. I'm sorry, May 3rd going into May 4th. We got earlier that day, actually, we got 616 in LA. Then that night, Drake responded with the crazy Family Matters and the parody song, where he was making fun of Kendrick on the Buried Alive joint from Take Care. He released them 2 joints, and then just like 40 minutes after that same night, Kendrick came through with Family Matters. I'm not Family Matters, but Meet the Grams, to stifle out any Drake momentum that he was building with Family Matters. And then everybody's reeling after those releases. And then the next day he drops the final gauntlet, which is the banger, Not Like Us. And this is before Not Like Us comes the phenomenon that it was. I remember first hearing it and being like, yo, this is a banger and this is going to be everywhere. But just in that capsule, those 2 days, May 3rd and May 4th, the question I have for you gentlemen is this the best 24 to 48 hours in hip hop history that we've ever seen, that it seems like the world stopped and everybody was locked in to one thing at once? What say y'all?
I think so, cool. I think so. I think because it's just the back and forth in such a short span of time, especially in this climate, we haven't seen that before. We haven't seen that in such a long time. Because back, remember the street mixtape wars when everybody was beefing, like 2001, 2002, everybody had a song coming out on the actual mixtape, and it was all over the place. But it still wasn't in real time. It was more so in increments. And in this one, you're talking about within a couple of hours apart from one another. We haven't seen it. It didn't give a chance to even for one song to actually breathe on its own, or one disc record to breathe on its own. Everything was like just in sync. Everything was coming at one time. And I think I told you both in real time, like, yo, we're not gonna get a fair shot at who's gonna win, because we can't even get over the last song that just came out. You're not even able to process it. So who's ever, going to hit hard, we're not going to appreciate it until later on. You have to go back and digest what you just heard, because you didn't get a chance to appreciate it in real time because it was coming back to back. So I think it was a good thing, but I think it also was a flawed thing, because it showed that these guys were locked in. We thought it was going to go a little bit more. We was anticipating more to come after it, and it kind of just went dead still because Kendrick ended up dropping a hammer, and that was it. But definitely a monumental time for hip hop, for sure.
Cool.
Something about this still feels a little bit planned in Kendrick's favor and unfair, because if you're going by, best 48 hours ever, it's like, it might be the best 48 hours for one artist ever in terms of what it did for the trajectory of what was already a Hall of Fame, top 10 caliber MC career. But when you do the rundown of these 48 hours, it's 3 records to 1. It would be different if it was 2 and 2. It would be different if it was a back and forth. People are talking about this 48 hours as if it was some sort of sparring match. It wasn't a sparring match. Like, it literally, and some of it is Drake's fault.
There was a slaughter.
Right.
No, some of it is Drake's fault, because it's like, if you don't understand that who you're playing with is a chess player, not a checkers player, like, shame on you. So you should have had something in the can to respond for the fact that he might have had to respond to you. That's what I mean is that, if he would have did to Kendrick what Kendrick did to him, Kendrick's like, haha, I got you, right back at you. And Drake been like, nah, was expecting you to do that, bang, 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 right back at you. Then Not Like Us doesn't drop. Right.
Yeah.
Because the move's not finished yet.
I actually had a question, and I want you to elaborate more, Coop, because Maul alluded to that, because he said that one of Drake's biggest mistakes was, because if you Family Matters is a 7-minute song with 3 separate parts. That middle part, granted, it's not really a lot of bars for Kendrick in there. He's going at everybody else, like, Rick Ross and Weeknd and stuff. But that's the best part of the song. Over that drill beat, Drake went crazy. I don't care what nobody says. But what Maul said during that DJ Head interview was Maul should have broke that up into 3 separate songs, so he could, pause, blew his whole load at once, and then he couldn't really come back with anything. You know what I'm saying? Because the thing about Meet the Grams, I don't care what nobody says, it's not better than Family Matters, but it didn't have to be. It's the strategic way he did it. It didn't have to be better than Family Matters. It just had to be good enough to take the momentum away from Family Matters. So what say you to that, Coop? Elaborate further. If you think that Drake breaks Family Matters up into 3 separate songs, do you think the outcome is any different? Maybe not totally different, but do you think it's closer?
Okay, so first of all, I think Family Matters is the best second song of this battle after Not Like Us. Just so we're clear. It's the second best diss record. And so it doesn't get the notoriety that it deserves because of the chess move that Kendrick made. But okay, so this is what I'm saying. If he separates this into 3 records, yes, that's a smarter strategic decision. But also to understand, if he's made a decision to do that, he's playing the angle of this battle totally differently at this point. So we're not hearing Family Matters just yet. Because at that point, Family Matters becomes the finishing move where you have this moment where you've taken this record and somebody, and this is what also having a team that's honest with you around is for. Like, nah, fam, bake that up into 3. We fucking with the boogeyman. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? And so there was some arrogance to it, a la Jay with Nas, where it was like, no, like I can probably finish him with this.
Thought it was the kill shot.
And it's a hell of a shot. Like I said, it's the second best record. Like at the moment that it dropped, it was the best diss record of the battle. I think that's the part about this 48-hour run that people are forgetting is that no. Family Matters leveled up this battle. It's just Kendrick.
A lot of people won't admit that, but I agree with you, Coop.
Yeah, no, Family Matters.
To me, it's better than Euphoria.
It's way better than Euphoria. It leveled up this battle. But Kendrick killed all of that momentum almost as soon as the momentum started. And that was the key moment of this battle. And so it seems crazy to say this. Not Like Us isn't even the key moment of this battle. That's the finishing move. The strategic move to drop Meet the Grams right after Family Matters was the victory in all of this, because the record is just good enough. And the strategic move is so genius, like throwing Prodigy on a Summer Jam screen. It's one of those type of moves strategically where it's like, oh, well, it's like the move hurts more than the actual bars do.
Bingo. What you got, Shawn?
No, I agree. It stepped on it. Like if any move that Kendrick played right was a drop consistently to not allow Family Matters to get legs. He cut the legs up under it really quick. And by that time, the audience had already switched. Everybody started like focusing on what was coming on after. Because if you're Drake and Drake is saying, drop, 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 and you're dropping, 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 and Drake is not dropping, you shoot yourself in the foot. You just really shot yourself in the foot because you gave him a warning. You made us think that you had more in the chamber. We were like, okay, if you telling him to drop, 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 you must have a lot loaded up right now that you about to spray the block up, and you didn't. And now we're looking at you crazy. So now all of these perceptions are coming about like, yo, you got another one? Got something else? And then Kendrick dropped another one. Okay, Drake, you gonna come back? And then you didn't have.
What do you think about maybe Drake did have stuff, but it wasn't good enough?
I don't think he did. I think it was one of those like Kendrick playing coy. Like when people forget that Kendrick jumped us off with Like That. So it's kind of asinine for Drake to think like, all right, this dude threw a shot at me and he's just going to go quiet, right? You know what I'm saying? Like he's been waiting and priming for this moment. But it was just, I don't know. You can't convince me that anybody expected Kendrick to drop like 4 or 5 records in that time frame. Nobody thought that. One thing.
That's the thing. For me, it wasn't about his capability of doing that because he's a writer, and so writers can do that. So that wasn't what I was worried about. I was worried about the quality of those records. I had no doubt in my mind that Kendrick could go on a run and make 4, 5, 6, 7 songs in about 4, 5. Yeah.
Well, that's fair, Coop. But you remember Drake tried to play him on the whole aspect of him being a writer. Like, you're up in that New York apartment with writer's block. I hope you're writing a quadruple entendre right now. He was trying to play him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're so much a complex writer that you can't even like drop nothing to respond to me.
Right.
Okay, so this is what I mean. So I agree with Drake on that synopsis based on what I had heard musically from him for the last 7 years. But very much like Nas, that don't mean you go poking at him and playing with him.
Exactly.
And if you are going to poke at him and play with him, you should be having your best shit locked and loaded and not be worried about his shit. Like I said, my question with Kendrick wasn't his ability to do it. It was, is the quality going to be there? Because quality-wise, I had not heard him make 3, 4, 5 good songs in a row in over 7 years.
That's fair,
that simple for me. It was literally that simple for me. It's like, no, he ain't made no fly shit in about 5, 6, 7 years, like consecutively. So it's like, do I think that he can do one record, maybe 2? It's like, yeah, but did I think he was going to do the quality that he did? No, I did not.
Yeah, that's fair, Coop. And a lot of people was gassing Euphoria, saying it was the kill shot when it really wasn't. A lot of people love that song. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but you're asking a lot. I think you're asking a lot of Drake on the side of things. Like, yeah, he could have been more strategic and realized who he was playing chess with. But all honesty, cards face up on the table. Do you think that if that wouldn't have took the wind out of Drake's sails, could he have done better than Family Matters? Because in my personal opinion, Family Matters is his peak ability of what he can do in that scenario. I don't think he could have did any better than that.
What I think, AG, okay, so I think that, how do I put this? I think that this battle for Drake, like, he was supposed to be the one to make this fun. Like, he was supposed to be the one
with the charisma
to be tongue in cheek. And yeah, he wasn't supposed to win this with bars. He was supposed to win this with bangers, with tongue in cheek and jest stuff.
But that played into Kendrick's hands because Kendrick ended up making the bangers.
His approach is what I had a problem with. He approached it on some rapping ass rapper shit. It's like, no, the other guy's the rapping ass rapper, and you want to keep him on some rapping ass rapping shit. You don't want him making a Not Like Us. That's the battle got won, really, because Not Like Us is the type of record we were expecting Drake to make.
There you go. Kendrick did his best Drake impression and did it better than Drake himself.
Yes, he out Drake in this battle.
Yes. He gave you every look. He gave you the lyrical miracle stuff. He gave you the conceptual record. He gave you the club banger. He gave you everything.
What Drake did to Meek, Kendrick did it to Drake squared.
Mm-hmm.
Squared. He squared it. He's like, no. He's like, I'm gonna do what you did to that guy. I'm gonna up it a little bit.
And he brought the coast with him.
Like, think about this. I mean, and I don't totally agree with it, and I can make an argument against him because of it. I mean, Not Like Us is turning into his legacy record, guys.
It is.
Yeah.
It already is. I wouldn't say turning into. I say it is. Name a bigger record that he has. You can't. You know. So and that's not a bad thing, but I don't know. I mean, it is tied to another artist, but
it's not a good thing. Or it's not a good thing in my opinion. It's not a bad.
But that's a singular song. His claim to fame is projects, right? That's a singular song. He can hang his hat on his projects.
So that's the thing about it, AG. No. For our generation, his claim to fame is projects. He just got a whole nother generation of fans, and this is his claim to fame. And that's what I mean. Is it's like, oh no, these projects aren't his claim to fame anymore. Beating Drake is his claim to fame now.
That's fair.
And think about this. What other all-time great rappers' greatest legacy or greatest moniker is attached to beating another guy? Because even with Nas beating Jay, his greatest legacy builder is still Illmatic, even over that.
Yeah,
that's fair. That all great valid points, Coop. I got one more question on this.
I just want to be
Oh,
clear.
my
Like
fault.
sometimes people feel like that I'm hating, and it's like, no. If you actually listen to what I'm saying, I'm making some very valid assertions about what this
Oh,
means
no, you making dope
wise,
points.
career wise. Like, yeah. So it's like I don't want to make it seem like I'm hating. No, these are valid questions to ask somebody that y'all are putting in top 5, top 10 ass arguments. It's like, no, I'm asking. I'm just asking valid questions. Just asking
No,
questions.
those are all great points. I want y'all both to answer this, but Shawn, I'm gonna come to you first before we go on. One thing that we don't talk about enough, we mentioned uh, Meet the Graham stealing the thunder away from Family Matters. And one of my good friends that live in Greensboro, we talk about this all the time. And it was interesting to hear DJ Head talk about it on the interview. They asked him, and I appreciate his objectivity. He said he doesn't like Meet the Grams because he's an energy guy. And he said he felt like that record had dark energy. So he said he wasn't really feeling that record. And my homie that lives in Greensboro is a big time Drake fan. Drake is one of his favorite rappers. But I remember when Meet the Grams came out, he hit me and was like, yo, that song is dark. Like, it feels like a funeral for Drake when you listen to it. Because Drake is, you know what I'm saying? Family Matters is a high octane record. You know what I'm saying? And then Kendrick comes through, changes, not only steps on his release, but changes the whole energy. You know what I'm saying? Like the chakras are different. You know what I'm saying? Like everything you hear in the record is different. So like, how much do you feel like the energy shift played a point in the momentum swinging in Kendrick's favor? Because it's not like he was doing anything crazy lyrically on that song.
Playing possum. That's what I mean about the setup. That's the setup for Not Like Us, is to play the dark, moody writer role. He's playing
Okay.
the dark, moody writer role before he comes with the Cali banger. Like it's literally like, it's like when you punch a fighter on the left side of their rib cage to open up the right side, like so that it drops, so you can hit them in the. You know what I'm
You're
saying?
leaning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Make them lose their wind a little bit, just enough to lean so that they can't block the real shot that you're throwing. That's what Meet the Grams is.
Yeah, that's
What you
all.
got, so?
He leaned into the boogeyman thing. He leaned
Yes.
into the boogeyman thing, like the whole persona of being a boogeyman, the voice being monotone, and the way he was going at it. That was the boogeyman approach.
It sounds like he was stalking them, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's all it was. That's really what it was. He was leaning into that. Like Coop said, sleight of hand. I'm gonna distract you with this because you kind of expect for me to go this route. You don't expect for me to drop Not Like Us. You don't expect that because I haven't done that before. But you don't expect that. So I'm going to hit you with this one, and you thinking that okay, I can compete with this level. I can compete with this guy, but you can't compete with that other guy because the other guy got the West Coast behind him with a banger. And when you got a whole coast behind you, you can't win that. That's a difficult hill to climb. When you got you united, you unified an entire coast, which is a galvanizing coast by itself. West Coast represent for really, really well. You got them behind you, and now it's an anthem. And it's getting momentum so quick. You can't keep up. You just can't.
Well, here's also the thing too that people have to understand, and this is where Drake failed all this. This is what I mean. And AG, you were right about this point. Well, none of this happens like this if he had a record ready in response,
Right.
the way Kendrick did. The
Right.
problem, like Not Like Us, doesn't drop if that man responds at like. I mean, to be honest with you, the whole Heart Part 6 thing that he did, that should have been dropped at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
And I think he was rapping on there. I didn't really hear the concession that everybody else heard at first, but in subsequent listens, I heard it.
It wasn't a concession. I mean, and we found this out from Low later. That was one of the first records that he made. That's what I'm saying. He had, like, at that point, he is being arrogant because when Meet the Grams drop, you have another record in tuck that you can drop. And so you're obviously not seeing what's really, really happening to you in real time and how people are responding, because your team is probably telling you, oh no, that Family Matters is a death blow. It's like, oh no, to a lot of artists, yes. To this guy, it's like, no, you're gonna have to finish this job. And he should have dropped the Heart Part 6 right after Meet the Grams. Because here's the thing about it, and I tell people this. I do personally feel like of the 3 best records in this battle, Kendrick only made one of them. It's just the one that he made is the banger of all bangers. But I personally feel like Meet the Grams and the Heart Part 6 are better diss records than the Kendrick diss records outside of Not Like Us.
You mean Family Matters and Heart Part?
Yeah.
I like, my favorite is 616 in LA. I hate that it's not on streaming. I love that record. That would be my third favorite behind Not Like Us and Family Matters. But yeah, that was a dope convo. We won't revisit this like too often, but you know what I'm saying, we had to give it some credence on the anniversary. But Shawn talked about the galvanized West Coast. Let's move to the East Coast and talk about some East Coast legends.
Do it.
So Shawn, you got the banner for that one. What we got first? Yeah, yesterday we had the launch of a new podcast in the full podcast space. But we got Fat Joe and Jadakiss joining forces for the Joe and Jada podcast, which this is a dope, interesting pairing. And they started releasing clips yesterday. And their sub count is growing and they got content out. Did you guys get to check this out any, or what do you think? Do you have certain expectations for the show?
No, I want to see it run some more. I think the first run out that they did, I saw these clips of it. It's gonna be interesting. Both got some good stories. Joe definitely got some wild stories. It's a matter of what's true and what's not, and what's fabricated and what's not. I would love to hear Kiss speak on a lot of different things, because Kiss is very measured when it comes to hip hop conversation. He doesn't lean one way or the other, one side or the other. He's very measured, and he's been in the game. He's a student of the game, and he showed love where he needs to show love. Again, he's right down the line. So I'm looking forward to see what Kiss has to say, more so than Joe. We hear Joe a lot. I'm looking more forward to hear Kiss, if I'm being honest.
You know, as far as duos go, both Cam and Mace have the stories and the personalities. And so I am worried about Jada's personality in this space, and I'm worried about Joe's oversaturation in this space. So I am going to watch, but I am kind of like, watching like to see how this is going to pan out. It's, they're tight. You know what I'm saying? And I've always had a good relationship. I think the stories are going to be great. Most rapper stories are great because they're about other rappers telling us stuff behind the scenes that we didn't know it happened. Like Method Man was telling the story, about like running into Sticky Fingers and stuff in Onyx and doing the record with them and all that. And it was one of those rap moments where it's like, you weren't there that night, so you don't know what was really happening behind the scenes. So I think hearing those stories is always good. But to be honest with you, those stories are all over YouTube, just like rap podcasts are all over YouTube. And so I am tentatively wondering what they're going to do themselves to separate themselves in the space, because Cam and Mace have separated themselves.
Yeah, I agree with that, Coop, man. And I like that you brought up Cam and Mace, because they did separate themselves by going the sports route and making it like a real sports broadcast. So that's dope.
And putting on a fucking suit and like dressing up professionally, and like running it out of a studio and like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. They're going to be the top dogs. But big picture, I like this, them two coming together for the podcast. It just gives an outlet, because I love to see our legends, the people that were in our formative years. Like I said before on the show, I'm a huge Carmelo Anthony. Like the hoodie I got on, the hoodie season, this was for Hoodie Mello. You know what I'm saying? They just recently announced that he's going to be an NBA, telecaster, broadcaster, or whatever, starting next season. So it's like, if you're trying to figure out what you're going to do after your playing career, that's one thing that you can go through. So this is an avenue for rappers to get in that bag. Like Nas even got in that bag and had a podcast for a while, and he's very reserved and, doesn't talk a whole lot, do interviews. So the podcast game is something that I'm glad is around for rappers to do after they're not really as active in the game anymore. So, and Joe spoke to that on the show that they released today. But he was more so saying that he doesn't respect anybody who didn't do that. Like, that's why they love Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Shaq so much on TNT, because they actually played the game at a high level. So whatever they got to say about it, you know, he's going to respect it. So he was saying that, you know, that people should just respect what they say all above everyone else, because they were in spots and making songs and in the studio sessions that nobody else were. I don't necessarily agree with that, because people like us, you know, can speak on it too. But that's just a fraternity that they're speaking to that only they belong to. So I do have to respect that. But smaller picture, one thing I'm worried about is the dynamic, because like Shawn alluded to, Jada is very measured in his speak, and he does, you know, articulate a lot of stuff well. And even when he's in his funny bag, Jada's very charismatic, but Joe's going to have to chill and dial it back a little bit and let Jada be that person that he could be on camera, because Joe is very overbearing. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, a lot of times I can already see it right now. He won't let Jadakiss finish a point or whatever. Joe gets so hyped, and when he gets in his Joker bag and starts talking or whatever, I think that'll kind of be something like right now it's real raw. It's like two homies on the stoop talking, which is cool, which will get them by early on. But eventually they'll have to iron some of that out and really get their conversation dialogue down where Joe's not being overbearing and over talking on the show.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Let's see what they do. Let's see how long it go.
Yep.
All right.
Next up, we got the GOAT. Little Vegas residency action. That's when does that start, Shawn? Is that in
It's in July.
Is that June or July?
July. 2 weeks.
July.
In July.
And it's only a few dates, correct?
It's only, he's doing 2 weeks. I think three days 1 week and 3 days the following week. July the 9th, 10th, and 11th. And then again, like I think 16th, 17th, and 18th or something like that. Somebody fact check me on that. But definitely going to Vegas again. I'm probably going to go to one of them shows, dress up, put my little suit on, and go out and represent. I didn't get a chance to go to the one last year, so I'm definitely may go to this one this year. He's going to do it in Philadelphia as well. You got Vegas with the orchestra, as well as Philly with the orchestra also.
Yeah, with the Philharmonic Orchestra. I definitely would like to pull up to that too. Black Tie Affair. And this is supposed to be Illmatic in its entirety, correct, with other stuff added in.
Yep.
Okay. So more Illmatic shows on the horizon for Nas. So, I mean, he hasn't stopped, man. Nas in the 2020 decade has just been, he's acting like a new artist, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
You know, and it's dope to see. You know, I don't think he's slowed down yet. Like, I alluded to him doing a podcast a couple years ago. He dropped 6 albums with Hit Boy, 1 coming with Premier. He's done 2 tours. 2 tours with Wu-Tang, a first leg and a second leg, and then Illmatic tour. He's doing the orchestra stuff. I mean, he's acting like he's in his 20s as a new artist. So,
Man,
what you got, Coop?
Where in the hell are my Escobar cigars? Where in the hell are my Escobar cigars?
Coop, I haven't been home in a while, Coop.
He home now. Shit. Where my cigars? It's ridiculous. I know this nigga's been watching me smoke cigars on this show for at least 2 or 3 years.
So let's talk about all the stuff that you're supposed to be having coming in the mail. The OVO jacket.
White leather OVO
Escobar
jacket.
cigars.
Preferably, since they know each other, little gift basket. Put the jacket with the cigars, niggas. Jacket with the cigars.
Yo.
You don't have to worry about getting me a lighter. I got a new torch, a little cigar cutter in the middle.
Yeah, we get it over to you.
My cigar. I want to talk about no Vegas residency. If I come to Vegas to see you, can I have a box of cigars? That's all I got.
You might get the light up one with Esco. Who knows?
Right.
That'd be cool.
Right. With the over your jacket on.
You be like Mr. Jones.
No. First of all, what we want. First of all, what we won't be doing is pulling up to the West Coast with a white leather OVO.
No, you better not.
That's what we won't be doing.
You bet not. Nah, man. Shout out to Nas, man. Straight up.
Big things.
Yo, so let's finish this thing strong, fellas. Pause.
Yeah. So
dumb early.
Speaking of Nas, as Queens get the money. You know what I'm saying? What we about to do now is original content for y'all. This was inspired by the homie Coop, actually, because somebody did a super chat, and it was me and you on the show, Coop, and we were talking about if you had ever been to New York. I want to say it was Mad Max, and we was talking about if you ever been to New York, every borough is like you're in a different world. You know what I mean? And it's really, set up like that. And we talked about the West Coast being galvanized, but all the boroughs are real territorial. Everybody claims New York City, but it's like your borough is your borough. You know what I'm saying? A lot of boroughs don't mess with the other boroughs over on the other side. So we see all the graphics on Twitter all the time about, name the top 5 rappers from each borough and blah, blah, blah. We wanted to do something a little different, you know what I'm saying? And we wanted to wait till the homie Shawn got back as the native New Yorker to really parse through this concept that we're about to do. So we're approaching this as if you're not from New York, but if you were to go to each one of the boroughs, what songs would best represent that borough through and through? So we wanted to create an original soundtrack for each of the 5 New York City boroughs. And we're going to parse that out right here live on the show. You know what I'm saying? But it's a little bit of ground rules that we'll have to follow when coming up with these 15 songs for each borough soundtrack. And this is something that we'll put on the socials, on Twitter, you know what I'm saying? We'll put it in the Discord and we'll playlist it for y'all. And then the fans can tell us what borough do they think have the best, representative soundtrack.
This should be interesting.
Really, I keep getting his pen. He's getting ready. He's getting locked in.
Might be time to buy another light. This light's been giving me trouble. That's part of the technical difficulties. My lights have been giving me trouble down here. Had to do a little system reset.
While Coop's getting ready, just a little bit of ground rules. So we're really going to take this serious, like real serious. We want to have, each borough well represented by a versatile list of MCs. But those songs have to encompass the borough itself. Shawn, as the native New Yorker, could really give us some insight on that, right? And if you got an artist feature from another borough on that track, then it's not going on the list. You know what I'm saying? Like, the What can't go on the list for Brooklyn because it got Meth from Staten on there.
Ah, see, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
very
so we got to be real technical. We got to be real technical when doing this. And for another example,
the symphony
can't go. So
came from Brooklyn.
We don't matter. G-Rap's from Queens. We got to be real intentional when we make it, because this is representing the borough.
So you're saying that the symphony can't count because Kane is from Brooklyn and he's on the record?
Where would it live at? Because you could have it under Queens or Brooklyn.
No, you can't, because it's Marley's record and Marley's from Queens.
But it has a featured MC from somewhere else. We got to keep it thorough.
So you're saying
the borough.
So you're saying more money, more. So you're saying more money, more murder, more homicide by AZ can't be used because it has Nas on there and he's from Queens.
Correct.
But that can't represent Brooklyn.
Correct. Very intentional.
That is some New York ass shit if I ever heard it. That is some.
We are not uniting New York with this. We are saying what is the best borough soundtrack, and the aesthetic needs to very much say New York. Reason being, like say for instance for Brooklyn, ground rules wise, I love AZ. Hope AZ song makes the list, but we can't put Sugar Hill on there. Sugar Hill's representing Harlem, Manhattan.
What, Miss Jones?
No, the song itself, Sugar Hill, is in Manhattan.
Nah, that's going too far, AG.
The aesthetic is not Brooklyn. It's not Brooklyn.
No, that's going too far. He's still a Brooklynite. He's still a dude. He's still a dude representing Brooklyn when he's saying.
But does that song say Brooklyn to you?
Actually, the talk on there is very like fly talk. It is Brooklyn fly talk to me. It's a little bit more laid back, but it's the same fly talk that Jay and Big and Kane do. Yeah, it is.
What do you say, Shawn?
I want a villa in Costa Rica so I can smoke my reefer and enjoy how life's supposed to treat you. That's not talking about Harlem. Like that's some fly Brooklyn talk. Yeah.
That's more Harlem to me, cool. That's more uptown. That's Harlem.
And Sugar Hill is Harlem.
When I think Brooklyn, can we go ahead and start?
Yeah. What borough do y'all want to start with first? Let's establish that.
Let's start with Brooklyn since we're talking about AZ and Sugar Hill.
Okay. So we gonna have to agree on what 15 make the list. You know what I'm saying? But we'll go through and stuff. I mean, my first buy-in is going to be for Brooklyn's Finest with Jay and Big. Of course, it's in the name. Any objections?
I got Brooklyn Zoo over Brooklyn's Finest, but that's fine.
I do too.
No, I mean, we're not ranking them. We're coming up with a 15-song track list, so we could put both.
We get 5 out of Brooklyn, all right?
I'm sorry?
5 out of Brooklyn?
15 tracks.
Out of Brooklyn?
Yeah, 15 each borough.
God damn, AG, that's a lot. It's 10.
Oh, that ain't too much.
That'd be 11, 40 yard time, isn't it? 10, 40 yard time.
He's talking about Showtime. We might
Showtime. We like to segment this in like the two halves.
Oh, I thought I told you like 15 songs for the soundtrack.
I must have misheard that. We made to do this in two halves.
Yeah, because narrowing it down to 5 songs, shit, that'd be damn near impossible. Because like Coop said, you could do 5 just straight Nas songs for Queens or 5 Mobb Deep joints.
Shit, I can do 15 Nas or Mobb Deep joints from Queens.
That's a little excessive.
My list kind of low key. My list kind of low key look like the Infamous.
I'm not mad at that because the Infamous is very much Queens.
The Infamous is more Queens than any rap album. Like the Infamous might represent Queens better than any rap album represents any borough.
And that's kind of what Knife Wonder was saying on Drink Champs, that it might be the best New York album. You know what I'm saying? Which in that vacuum, I'm not mad at that. But so Brooklyn Zoo and Brooklyn's Finest. Who else you got out of Brooklyn? Like my buy-in is for Fab to get Breathe on here.
There's so much more Brooklyn stuff to go through before we get to that.
Yeah,
Annie Up by MOP.
Annie Up has to go on here. Yep.
I got it made by Special Ed.
I'll agree with that.
I got you open by Black Moon.
Like it. What about a Black Star track?
No, won't be doing that. Treat 'Em Right by Chubb Rock.
You shot that down pretty quick. You're not going to rep Brooklyn with Black Star at all?
We're gonna get to the stuff that matters first. It's not telling.
Yeah, let's get the.
What'd you say, Shawn? I missed your joint for Black Moon.
I said I got you open.
Okay, I got you open. Okay.
Yeah. You can go who got the props for Black Moon too. Actually,
you can go there too. You
could give Black Moon 2 spots. They were like that in '93.
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. I got you.
They captured the Brooklyn sound.
Yeah, I got you open and who got the props. Like they encompass the 2 separate sounds of Brooklyn on those 2 sounds, in my opinion.
Yeah. Does Juicy make it?
I look at Juicy as more New York as a whole than I do as Brooklyn isolated.
I always thought Who Shot You was very Brooklyn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any objection, Shawn?
It feels very do or die Bed-Stuy to me. You know what I'm saying?
I got a sleeper pick, and it has Brooklyn in the title, but I don't know if y'all want to put it in there, but I'm not sure if it would qualify the criteria. No Sleep Till Brooklyn. But I think one of the beasties is from Manhattan.
I don't want to go there yet. I think there's so much more you can put in front of that.
Hold on. Let's go over what records we have right now.
Yeah. We're 7 deep so far. Brooklyn Zoo, Brooklyn's Finest, Annie Up, I Got It Made, I Got You Open, Who Got the Props, and Who Shot You.
What do you think about Treat 'Em Right by Chubb Rock?
I love Chubb Rock, but I don't know if it makes this list.
I think you kind of have to, though. if you're talking about pillars of that Brooklyn sound, he's one of those pillars of that Brooklyn sound.
Yeah,
Ain't no half stepping's got to be on there.
Ain't no half
that's what I was about to say.
that should be number one. Ain't no
What
half
about Raw?
number one.
I think you can make an argument for Raw being on there. I think Raw might be a personal hip hop thing for us. I don't know if it represents Brooklyn the way, you know what I'm saying, some other records may. Like, what do you think about Miss Fat Booty?
I don't know if I can get to that point. I can't get there yet because I think there's so many places to go. I mean, I
Young,
think
Gifted, and Black.
I think my audio
Young,
top
Gifted.
billing. I think top billing audio too.
They're from BK? I thought they were from Philly.
BK.
That's BK.
Wiz is chilling. Yeah,
that's right, because that's MC Lights, bro. Right.
It's BK all day. Speaking of MC Light, I would even say Paper Thin, but MC Light.
Yeah,
I like Paper Thin as a choice.
Yeah.
Actually. What do you think about Streets is Watching?
No, I'll do you one better. Where I'm From has to go.
Okay, I can do that.
I can do that. Yeah.
Comparable records.
But I mean, that's more Brooklyn. Like that. I mean,
yeah, no.
Where I'm from. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What about Put Your Lighters Up, Lil' Kim?
That's hard, Coop.
That's hard.
Yeah, that's a banger too. That's one of her best records too. People don't talk about that record enough.
I will put Come Clean ahead of that though.
But we gotta have some Kim representation.
I got Come Clean on my list. I got Come Clean on my list too, Shawn. So I'm cool with Come Clean. Come Clean has a Brooklyn ass sound to it.
It does.
I'm
thinking about what that sound captures. Yeah.
BK Anthem by Foxy Brown.
Foxy representation. We need that.
BK Anthem by Foxy.
See, Coop, you getting it. You know what I'm saying?
No. I had some of these records written down. I just didn't know exactly. Like, how about this? This was what I was about to ask you too, AG. So we saying, because one of the records I have now for Staten Island is How High, because Redman's not from a borough.
True, but he claimed more Staten. Because the woo gets a little tricky. I would, like you got dirty with Brooklyn's Finest, if we said a Jizza track, I'd be cool with that for Brooklyn.
No, I separated Wu-Tang by where they were from. Like Deck is from the Bronx. Master Killer and Dirt and Jizza and RZA are from Brooklyn, and I treated it as such.
Mm-hmm. That's why I was telling Shawn, like, if it's a Wu record that got any of those on there where it's a disparagement, we can't use it. Because Staten Island has to be nerfed to a degree because it's kind of unfair with all the Wu records that we could pull from, you know?
It's not that unfair.
It's pretty unfair. That 15 to look different if we just put all the Wu records on there. All right, so we don't have any To Live representation. We don't have any AZ representation.
I don't think we have to force the representation, though. I think it's more about what is what. I mean, if you got 4 or 5 songs from Black Moon, that's what it is.
It's hard for me to do a list that has Brooklyn involved like this and there not be a One More Chance remix on there, because that is like the Brooklyn Players anthem of all the Brooklyn Players anthems. Yeah,
I mean, One More Chance remix can live on here, but we only got 2 J records because Brooklyn Finest is a J record. No Breathe, no AZ. I would put a bid in for Rather Unique. That's my favorite A record.
I don't think that's good enough to make this list, to be honest with you.
Okay. Nothing from Yasin or Talib.
I mean, Miss Fat Booty, Mathematics, Get By, Respiration. What you think?
Out of all those, I think Respiration might be the only one that could live on this list.
I don't know if that's strong enough.
What you got, Shawn?
I don't think that's strong enough.
Y'all want to hear what we got so far?
I do.
All right, because we have 14. We got Brooklyn Zoo, Brooklyn's Finest, Annie Up, I Got It Made, I Got You Open, Who Got the Props, Who Shot Ya, Treat 'Em Right, Ain't No Half Stepping, Paper Thin, Where I'm From, Put Your Lighters Up, Come Clean, BK Anthem. Any of those sound like you want to cut them?
I don't know how can you cut them. I'm be honest with you. I don't know how they all represent Brooklyn. Like I would love to put some new blood in there, but I just don't think the new blood represents Brooklyn.
That's fair.
You know what I
What's
mean?
your favorite pop record? Pop would probably be the new guy that would probably.
I don't think he has any that can make his list.
You don't think so?
Nah.
It would be hard for me.
Sean P. Any Sean P. records?
No.
I don't think because if you go that route, you have to almost go Black Moon, Smith and Wesson.
Yeah. And I'm mad I didn't draft Sean P. to fight the gorilla too. I was slipping on that one.
Yeah, you were slipping on that one.
It's crazy when you're talking about a rapper fighting a gorilla and saying that you're slipping, but it's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, because I would say even Soundboy Burial by Smith and Wesson. Just that beat alone is Brooklyn. Boom, 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 boom.
Do we?
Yeah.
Did we do Come Clean by J. Rue? Did we took
Yeah.
Come Clean should be on there.
What would y'all say to Young G's?
No.
Okay.
No.
I love I mean, Young G's got Puff on it. Sorry. I love the dough. I mean.
No.
Really?
That sound aesthetic is more Manhattan than anything else.
Kick in the door.
Yeah.
Warning.
No, what's the JMOP record? The JMOP record.
Oh, Four Alarm Blaze.
Four Alarm Blaze.
Yeah.
That's
all right.
The record. We're taking Four Alarm Blaze.
Good one, Coop. Good pull.
That shit had us on fire in Charlotte when they dropped it. Imagine what Brooklyn was like when that was happening. Yeah.
The way I'm thinking through it like it has to be aesthetically for that borough.
You're the New Yorker. That's why you're here.
There are some songs that's going to be heavy, but it's more New York based heavy.
Hold on. What up, Jarv? I'm gonna give Jarv one that I like, and this is probably my favorite Fab record. Keeping It Gangsta by Fab is my favorite Fab record. That shit was.
I don't think it's better than Breathe.
It might represent Brooklyn better though.
I wouldn't put it on there over Four Alarm Blaze. What do you say, Shawn?
I'm not putting it on.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm just trying to think who's from that different era, from a more recent era that can represent Brooklyn as well.
If we're doing it for representation, then Fab would get the nod.
Right, because I'm trying not to be stuck in that.
Best songs that represent Brooklyn. It's like we're not just putting people in just to put people in.
But the Keeping It Gangsta remix had MOP on it as well, but it had other, you know what I'm saying, people from other areas of New York on there too. So
right.
I wouldn't be mad at Keeping It Gangsta, although I prefer Breathe. But we're not necessarily going for the best song. We're going for what represents the borough the best.
I think Four Alarm Blaze is better than both of those records anyway.
Shawn, what do you got?
I can live with that. I can live with it.
Keep Four Alarm Blaze?
Yeah, I can live with it.
All right. What borough's next?
I'm trying to compare it to the aesthetic. I'm not thinking about how many we should get in, how many, whatever. I'm thinking about, does this represent Brooklyn? Like, does it sound like Brooklyn? You know what I mean? Does it sound like somebody wearing some dirty Timbs in a holy up hoodie? You know what I mean? Bruh stinking and everything. Brooklyn nigga, right?
Between Four Alarm Blaze and Keeping It Gangsta, which one you think sounds more Brooklyn?
You're the New York, so you got to break these ties.
Probably Keeping It Gangsta, man. Probably Keeping It Gangsta. I mean, we can
Let's poll it. Let's poll it. We ain't got the chat for nothing. Poll that one. We want the chat participation too.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. And AG Shawn is right, because we just spent 15 minutes on Brooklyn and we're not even done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Queens is going to be the most difficult.
This is a good one. We may segment it. Do 2 boroughs this week, 2 boroughs next week.
Come back to it.
Yeah.
Which one y'all want to do next?
I thought it would be, to be honest.
It's tough.
Do you have anybody from Brooklyn in the chat? If we have anybody from Brooklyn in the chat, I would love to see people from Brooklyn put their selections up there as well. I'm not from Brooklyn, so you know what I mean?
Queens get the money.
Hey, yeah,
I feel like if we do the Queens one, we're going to be here for a long time. So I do feel like we
yeah.
should hold that for next week. And also putting Brooklyn and Queens right next to each other takes some of the fun out. So I think we should do the Bronx to wrap up the show tonight. Since the
I
Bronx
like
is the
that.
birthplace. And we can start off the show next week with Queens and Harlem and Staten.
Who's
I like
the
that.
Bronx up there?
Ooh, Michael Brown. I thought about Players Anthem. Players Anthem crossed my mind. How you living, Biggie Smalls? I'm surrounded by criminals, heavy rollers, even the shiesty individuals.
Players Anthem is
Smoking
tough.
blunts and mad Phillies,
That is
getting
tough.
Billy badasses, crack stacks and masses. I might actually Players Anthem might need to go on there. Players Anthem is a tough. That shit sound very, very Brooklyn to me.
But that's where it gets tough. Like, how much Biggie representation do you want on there?
As much as needed. As much as needed. It's big.
I
It don't
really
get
want.
like
Yeah.
like for me, Big embodies what like how about this? Big I never even cared about wanting to go to Brooklyn until I heard Big rap, to be honest with you. So like for me, Biggie is Brooklyn everything. Like this, I associate Brooklyn sound to Big. Who Shot You sound like Brooklyn. One More Chance remix sound like Brooklyn. Just opposite ends. Like
I
that's who
would put
Big
Players
is.
Anthem on there before One More Chance remix.
I'm cool with that.
Because if I'm representing Brooklyn, I think Players Anthem fits the aesthetic more.
I'm cool with that.
So,
Yeah, I'm good. I think, man, we
so
got
who's winning
got
the poll? Who's winning the poll between Four Alarm Blaze and
I didn't even poll it.
Keeping
I didn't even poll it. I didn't even poll it. I was because I think we got something with this one that we need to like really breathe on it.
We need to get Brooklyn right first, since we done already started Brooklyn.
It's hard to get Brooklyn right though, man, because
no, we started some shit. We gotta finish it, is what I'm saying. Like if nothing else, we done started.
AG got one. AG got one for us, man. Like
I mean, I thought y'all know it was gonna be this difficult out the gate. I can't prepare y'all.
I'm prepared,
no, I'm
but
prepared.
I'm also
I have records.
Yeah.
But it's like he is right. Like we need to get this right. So like we need to go.
I think right, because this could be a lot of debate.
Yeah.
And I think we need to get the chat and everybody involved in a debate like this. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to be biased out the gate.
Yeah. When we do the Queens part, you're going to be like acting real different.
Like, what do you think about? Yeah. Ooh, I got another. The Come Up by AZ.
I don't think it makes it. As bad as I want AZ on this list, I love AZ, but I don't think the Come Up makes it with these records.
I mean, I'm thinking about the records that sound like Brooklyn, though. That's what I'm saying. That may not be his best record, but there's a record that sounds like Brooklyn.
So let me read through what we got, and when I come across one that you think could potentially be cut for anything we just named, Players Anthem, to Come Up, whatever, just say stop. All right.
Okay.
Brooklyn Zoo, Brooklyn's Finest, Annie Up, I Got It Made, I Got You Open, Who Got the Props, Who Shot You, Treat 'Em Right, Ain't No Half Stepping, Paper Thin, Where I'm From, Put Your Lighters Up, Come Clean, BK Anthem, Four Alarm Blaze.
Come Clean and BK Anthem give me reason to pause. Like, how about this? Is BK Anthem better than Breathe or Keeping It Gangsta?
To me, no.
I don't think so.
I love Foxy. Foxy's my favorite female MC.
I love Fox too, but we gotta be, that's what I'm saying. So like this Fab. So what Fab does for me? I'm with you, AG. Breathe is Fab's best record, but Keeping It Gangsta has more of a Brooklyn feel to it to me.
I do agree with that, Coop. But but if we only eliminating that one, does that say Players Anthem is off the table?
No, Players Anthem's on the table.
So Players Anthem would get that spot then, unless we take off Come Clean. That's what I'm saying. This is the hard part. Remember how we talked about the other day, how, you know what I'm saying, you're curating an album, 15 tracks is like, for me, 15 tracks is that sweet spot. When you narrowing it down, it's hard to do. You know what I'm saying?
It's
Okay.
tough, man.
Mr. Buck 1113. DJ Premier is from Houston, Texas, and Guru is from Boston, Massachusetts. Neither one of those guys are from Brooklyn. They just made music in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Know your history, sir. Know your Get your shit together. Don't you ever pull up on hip hop talking about no Gangstar is crazy, and you don't even know when these niggas is from. You're not knowing where DJ Premier is from is crazy. You're not knowing where Guru is from.
But what's wild is they're neither one of them are from New York, and they help shape so much of the New York aesthetic and sound, though.
Don't you ever pull up on hip hop
That's a
talk
fact.
like I don't know my Gangstar shit. Don't you
That
ever
is
do
a
that
fact.
again. All right. Glad we had this talk.
All right, so
UAG.
Four Alarm Blaze are keeping it gangster, or is Come Clean on the chopping block.
I would take Come Clean. I love the beat to Come Clean more than those records, but those records are better to me than Come Clean because Come Clean to me is about the beat.
If we want some new blood representation, I would say Keeping It Gangster should be on there.
I'm cool with Keeping the Gangster being on there over Come Clean, honestly.
Okay.
I'm not so stuck in my ways.
Do all these old school tracks make it? Ain't No Half Stepping definitely got to stay. That's to me, that's Kane's magnum opus.
Ain't no
right?
half step.
It is, but here's the thing about it. As far as like great one-offs go, it doesn't get much better than Treat 'Em Right or I Got It Made, and so they got to stay for that to me. They're two. Those are records that, like, how about this? That's from the same era where it was okay for Kane to dance, and that is part of that Brooklyn shit.
Does Paper Thin stay?
I was up in the air about Paper Thin. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
Paper Thin is Paper Thin to me. Like, it's a great record.
How about this? Paper Thin's better than BK Anthem, but BK Anthem actually represents this conversation better than Paper Thin, in my opinion. Even though Paper Thin's the better record. Right, we're talking about representation. We're not talking about best songs.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't want this to be easy. I want people to have to think about this.
So I would tell you we need to swap out Paper Thin for BK Anthem, actually.
All right.
Paper Thin gotta stay though, man. That's
we got an objection. We might have to poll it, man. That's what the chat's for.
What I'm gonna say is how is it really repping Brooklyn?
Shawn, speak to it. You're the New Yorker, man.
Brooklyn, man. It just smells like it. It smells like Brooklyn, man.
I can say the same thing about Come Clean, though. That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of records like
definitely Come Clean. Definitely. It all sounds like it. It all sounds like it. It's just I'm thinking about the aesthetic and the feel and what it represents. And it just represents it so well. But I get what y'all say. I get it.
Well, y'all either gonna have to suck it up and start eliminating some records, or we extend the track list to 20. One or the other.
No, we gotta.
I say keep it 15.
Keep it 15. Keep it 15.
Hold on, are we doing Long Island too? We gonna be here all fucking summer.
Yeah, man. Yo,
who's doing No, we ain't doing Long Island.
No,
that's
Long
not
Island,
a borough.
It's not a no. We're not doing Long Island. We can lump it in. We can lump it in, but
Rakim ain't gonna get no representation on this exercise.
we can figure that out though. Because you still got Yonkers.
It's not a borough, bro.
It's not. I'm saying we can figure it out though. You
ain't got to be that diplomatic. They understand.
No, they can't. I got family in Yonkers. What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about?
All right, so is Paper Thin staying, or are we doing BK Anthem? My vote is for BK Anthem.
Let's go BK Anthem. Let's go BK Anthem.
So we got our Brooklyn 15.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to pause it right there, though. Honestly.
Yeah, we need to stop.
I'm good with that. So we'll pick this up next week.
Yeah.
Y'all niggas come better prepared next time.
No, we are.
This is treacherous.
No,
this is treacherous. Your rules and your regulations are treacherous. All right.
Life is all about hard decisions.
Look here. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, and so I'm used to dealing with terrorists because that's what most of these women are. They're a bunch of terrorists.
You just said that on like 6 shows.
Yeah. These women are terrorists. Bombs over Baghdad. These women are out here. AG, these women are out here communicating threats. Okay. They're terrorists. They should be launching. They should be launching hand grenades and jumping out of planes with machetes and full metal jackets with extended clips. These women are
Cool.
worse. Yeah, they're bad.
Cool going through something different with the women.
This list very comparable to the Atlanta women. This list is bombs over Baghdad.
This is pretty diabolical. It is.
It's a tough exercise.
Shawn, excellent word choice. Diabolical. This is diabolical. This is diabolical.
We need to get the chat involved as well, because I do think that this warrants a lot of pause, and we may can get some people to come up on the show, represent their borough. If you got somebody from Brooklyn who want to pop up on, we can send them the link. They can come and debate it. Got somebody from the Bronx. They can come and debate it.
I do want to be clear. We just did a BK list, and there's no Mos, aka Yasin. There's no Talib.
Nope.
No
AZ.
No AZ.
Yeah.
No Jizza.
Nope.
Okay. Being clear. Okay.
Nope.
I thought about I got
that's
you
your
back
fault.
Off. No, I thought about I got you back off Liquid Swords briefly, but then it's like that's the weakest song on Liquid Swords, even though it's like real Brooklyn.
If I would have put anything off there, I would have did the title track Liquid Swords, but it doesn't sound like Brooklyn though.
It doesn't. It sounds like Staten Island.
That is some Wu-Tang. Liquid Swords sound like some Wu-Tang shit as much as any solo Wu-Tang song sound like some Wu-Tang shit.
Yeah.
Yep. Facts.
Yeah. I mean, Kane could have more representation. I'm a big fan of Young, Gifted, and Black. I love that record, but Ain't No Half Stepping is the one.
I mean, Set It Off, Raw. You can go a lot of places.
Raw. I love Raw. Yeah, Set It Off. Yeah.
I don't think Raw sounds. I think Set It Off maybe. We might need to talk about Set It Off.
We'll revisit this next week. You know.
Yeah.
Diabolical. Shame on you. You know what? Hey, look. Bronx ain't gonna be nothing but KRS-One and Slick Rick. All right, next episode.
Oh.
He said Jopra ain't getting no love, no fun, no Jopra.
I mean, all jokes aside, Slick Rick is getting 4 of those 15 records though.
As he should. Slick
Rick getting 4 of those 15 records for the Bronx. KRS getting like 6 of those. That's what I'm saying. Slick Rick getting 4 of those records. KRS getting 6.
That's the one that Shawn's looking the most forward to.
Which one?
Doing the Bronx.
Now, I want to get somebody from the Bronx on the show.
Bridges over at the South Bronx Records.
Yeah.
Well, I can get some people. I can get some people on there.
Yeah. We can make this a thing. That's what I'm saying. I think we projecting good right now. So let's
you want to know what? We might need to get a little Brooklyn action in here to finish up this list and
exactly.
get a little correspondence. What you're saying.
That's what AG want. If he want a massacre, that's what he want to get.
What J. Cole said, I want blood. I want to see blood.
First of all, we're not talking about what J. Cole want. We want J. Cole to make a classic album. Everybody hit like, subscribe, share the hip hop talk.
No, Shawn drafted J. Cole in the Borough draft. Shawn said J. Cole represents Queens because he spent some years there.
Yo, like, subscribe, share. Make sure you get the thumbs up.
He don't belong to Coop no more. He belong to you, Shawn.
You can have him. You can have him.
Your daughter's tied up in the Brooklyn basement. But
here,
like, share, subscribe. We appreciate y'all. It's good to be back. Let's get it. We out.
Peace.